One.
Hey now, it's your boy, PSA Sitch here with Friended Forever, also known as Adam, also known as Guy Who Wears Red Shorts and a Sports Jacket. And we're today going to discuss about how he's a fake liberal who actually hates equality and freedom and all these good things and supports John Stossel's terrible conservative agenda.
Down with the government. Taxation is theft.
But what about the roads? The roads.
So we have some. So I have some photos up that you should be able to see. Let us know if there's any problems with the audio. But we were going to give a shout out to Caffeinated Fiend or Caffeinated Tweaker. Was it Caffeinated Fiend before? No,
It's Caffeinated Fiend in the chat window.
Oh, okay. There we go. So Caffeinated Fiend, aka Caffeinated Tweaker, has done some great cartoons of us. So hopefully you can see those. Can you see those, Sitch? You can't see those, can you?
I can see those.
Okay.
Look at my. I just want everyone to appreciate my beautiful buff body. That is totally photo realistic depiction of what I look like.
Can't figure out here. Let's see. That didn't work. All right, we're gonna have to do a better showing of these next time.
Well, in my video, I'll post all the fan art. How about that?
Yeah,
it's much better.
You've done a good job of doing that, but we have another one here. Phalanx also has done some. Here's us fighting each other out over, this is, I think, GMF, genetically modified fedora tipper.
Yes, look at his poofy hair. It's perfect.
So thank you guys for this fan art. Thank you so much. Oh, here's another one. Me in my red shorts. I actually have my blue shorts on today, so.
Oh my God.
My shorts actually match my sport coat.
Changing it up.
So we're looking at John Stossel today. And how did this John Stossel thing come into existence? I think I had sent you some.
I don't remember. You probably said, "Hey, Sitch, I'm decided to become a Nazi." I'm going to follow the ways of Nazi John Stossel.
So what is your take on Crowder, Steven Crowder? Do you like?
I don't watch any of his stuff, so I have no idea.
Okay, so you're not into Steven Crowder.
No.
Steven Crowder seems, I mean, he says he's conservative, and he does go hard on healthcare. He says universal healthcare is terrible. He's Canadian and they have universal healthcare. And I just caught a bunch of people on Twitter talking about how great Canada healthcare is and how they get 18 months off maternity leave and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm going, maybe Crowder's wrong about that healthcare stuff. It's pretty typical of the conservatives to bash on healthcare. And sometimes I wonder if it's just their team has been anti-healthcare, so they're going to be anti-healthcare because of the team.
Or it could always just be, the healthcare is better if you're not rich. And if you are rich, it's worse. So.
Oh yeah, that's probably.
I mean, I'm assuming, Crowder's, well off.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, why am I having to go to the doctor with all these little people? Why can't I have a healthcare system all to myself? I've heard, though, in Australia that they have a healthcare system that they have private insurance as well. So all the rich people have private insurance and they go to private healthcare providers, and that the regular healthcare is for all the little people.
Well, I'm assuming they could do the same thing in Canada.
Yeah, they probably do have the same thing in Canada. I
don't think the government's like, you have to see a publicly funded doctor.
Yeah. Forgot to turn my light on back there.
Oh my God, we have to see you in normal light. It's you just can't.
No, I put the red lights out. I'm looking. See, I matched the red on your side and the red on my side.
Oh.
We're like detective power.
It's like we're in the same place, even though we're not.
Just about. So hey everybody, hi guys, hi Caffeinated Fiend, hi that darn Kiddeth, hi Naughty Designs. Let's look at a John Stossel video. I am totally ambivalent about John Stossel, and Sitch seems to be triggered to high heaven over John Stossel.
It's
Why?
true.
Give us a little rundown on why you're so triggered by this guy. Is it the
Well, I said
mustache? You don't like mustaches?
it's true. I don't like the mustache. That's it.
He's got the
No, I
Magnum
said last
PI
time.
going. That's like the best part.
It's like he's got like the what is it, the '80s porn star stash. You can't do that
He
anymore.
does, yeah. We lost Burt Reynolds last week, so
See, this is like he's a disgrace to the mustache.
he's
This
keeping it.
Stossel.
He's keeping it real. I should have shaved. I should have shaved just to the mustache, so I would have been prepared
You
for
should.
this. So I would have been like, "Yay! Guess what?"
But I said last time that the first two experiences I had with Stossel was him saying that you
like
should never
sexual
give money to homeless
experiences, or
people. Yes, my sexual experiences with John Stossel. He didn't call me, afterwards.
He never-
It was terrible.
he never called you back.
I felt so used. But no, it was when I turn on the TV and I see him saying you should never give money to any homeless people because all
Oh.
homeless people actually live in nice neighborhoods and they're just trying to scam you, which is absurd. And then the second one was every single person that's on food stamps is using it to buy lobster and they're all beach bums who don't work. And that's what he does. Like he'll find someone doing something bad or wrong, and then he'll just generalize it like this is what every liberal in America is doing.
Yeah, where do you fall on government versus free market? Like you definitely have some faith in government.
I'm pretty liberal, so
Yeah.
here's the way I look at it. Okay, you have two main forces that are controlling your life besides yourself. Obviously, you have the government and you have big businesses and corporations. And the problem I have with a lot of the libertarian ideology is that they kind of believe that if the government goes away, then you as an individual is going to have more power and more control over your life. But I don't see it that way. I see it as when the government goes away, you're just giving the corporations more power to control your life.
Yeah, they're the ones
So-
that step in. Obviously, you missed the
Exactly.
most important one. I can tell you're not married because those two are below the wife. The
Well, I'm
wife,
trying to talk
the
about
wife,
high-minded ideology here.
the wife is the one like ruling your life, and then comes the government, and then comes the corporations, or vice versa, however you want to look at it.
Right.
I feel more ruled by the corporations and the government, but
Well,
yeah, I guess it's really a tie.
Well, but the thing is that when people complain about how messed up the government is, which it is, it's like at least the government in theory is supposed to be helping you. Where corporations are not supposed to be helping you, even in theory. They're supposed to be making money.
Yeah, and there's two different types of accountability in play too. And I notice that sometimes the libertarians, they don't think voting even is a counterbalance against government.
Right.
So if they discount voting as a counterbalance and they feel like they have no say, even though it always feels like there's all these different little local organizations too that you could weasel your way into if you really had a problem. But the corporations, the only say that you have is with your money. And they often think, okay, well, then I just won't give them my money. But that just seems like, okay, you're not going to give them their money, but some other guy is going to give them their money.
Exactly.
And they're gonna-
It's like, yeah, if you can't trust people to use the power of the vote to hold the government responsible, why would you trust people to use their wallet to hold some company responsible?
yeah, they're going to do whatever they want. The problem that I
Yeah.
have is the costly externalities when they start pumping. I mean, pollution is the most obvious one.
Right.
Yeah, there's all kinds of costly externalities. And then also there's the problem in the United States now where the corporations have kind of paid for government, or they pay
Right.
the campaign they do the campaign contributions for whatever senator it is. And then that senator is going to get their pet project through the legislature.
Yeah, like can't we just experiment with like getting rid of money out of politics before we decide to abolish the government? Like can't we do that first to see if it helps?
Yeah.
Take it step by step process.
Larry Lessig is the guy for that. And then Cenk Uygur came in and started doing the money and politics stuff, and I think it kind of hurt the cause. I think it kind of set it back
Mhm.
because nobody likes Cenk Uygur on the well, nobody likes Young Turks on the well. You can't just come out and say I'm better than you and expect
Right.
people to really.
Well, it's also all the SJW stuff that people don't like.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
not the money in politics. I mean, I'm assuming if you took a poll and you said, should you get rid of money in politics? It'd be one of those 99% of Americans say yes.
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen that video on? Man, we should actually watch it when we do one of these things. But it's a video that shows whatever somebody like whatever the general population wants to happen. It has about a 30% chance of passing Congress.
Oh, yeah. I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
So it's all the way from things that we don't remotely want, like forcing, like think of the most, like mandatory abortion or, mandatory firearms carrying or something like that. Something you
Yeah.
don't even want has
Yeah.
30% chance of getting through Congress. And
Yeah.
something that you totally want, like free money from the government, has about a 30% chance of getting through Congress. But the wealthy and the corporations, it's more in line with what they want. Like if they don't want something, it's not going to get passed. And if they do really want something, the line kind of tapers off. If they want something 100%, it's only about a 70, 80% chance of it getting passed. So they don't get everything they want, but they definitely have Congress's ear over us.
Right. I know there was a study that someone did where they were looking over the numbers you're talking about. And you see the chart is like, regardless of what the public wants, it makes literally no difference on the line
Yeah,
of
exactly.
whether it passes Congress.
It's like
But then when
30% all the way across.
Yeah, it's just 30% or 33% or something. And then when like with the corporations, it's like the more money they funnel into the cause, like the more likely it will pass.
And what is really terrifying is it is the issues that the public just doesn't want at all. But they're like
Right.
funneling money into it. I think the net neutrality might have been in that situation where they're just
I'm sure it was because most people were in favor of it.
yeah. So we have 3 John Stossel videos. John Stossel does very short videos. I'm curious, his videos are very polished. It's almost like he's doing a TV segment. And his YouTube channel doesn't have a whole lot of views. And I wonder if part of the problem is that people just are drifting away from this really polished TV style. Do you have any
Well, I mean, he's a professional journalist. He works for Fox, so I'm sure he has, people, professionals producing these videos. And I mean, I don't know, because if you look at like the big people on YouTube, most of them are people who started on YouTube. They're not people that were just normally already famous and then came to YouTube or just put their stuff on YouTube.
Right, but if you look at like Russ, have you watched any of Russell Brand stuff?
No.
Russell Brand is like a big movie star, right?
Right.
He came to YouTube, and I'm pretty sure he has close to 1 million subscribers. But he came.
Yeah, but
to
he's
YouTube.
doing just like long form. Oh, I amend what I said because he's doing like long form interviews, right?
Well, he does all kinds of stuff on his channel. Really, he does little commentary videos. He does all kinds of stuff. But I think he really acclimated to the YouTube environment. Like he didn't come on and say, "I'm a big movie star. Here, let's do big movie style content," right? Where we slick produce stuff. He's like, I'm just going to sit in my spare bedroom and make a video like everyone else does it on YouTube.
I'm looking at his view count. It's not like, except for the Jordan Peterson interview, it's not super high.
Okay.
I mean, it's better than Stossel, but it's not like
what's he got?
Ridiculous. Like his views are like between 50 and 100,000.
Oh, it's killing us.
Well, yeah, but I mean, John Stossel's are like between 50 and 30.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
and he's a libertarian too, so he's a tiny audience of people.
The libertarians rule YouTube. What are you talking about?
Russell Brand's got all the normies.
Do you think that John Stossel is? I think that this might be hurting him. That if he did less polished videos, I think they might have more views. I think people are probably think, "Oh, this was posted from TV."
I don't know.
So
I'm leaning towards no.
Okay, just to be contrarian.
No, as I said,
you're getting ready, aren't you?
Think
we're gonna box this. This is gonna be some boxing here. I hope you guys are ready for a fight. Internet blood sports is on.
If Stossel did really long form interviews with interesting people, he would probably get shit tons of views. But he
Yeah.
doesn't. He does. You know why he doesn't do that? Because he's a snake and he has to manipulate everything.
Listen to you. He said that he doesn't do it because he's a stutterer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what he said on the Crowder show. Yeah, he said he said he was a stutterer, that he was really bad at public speaking, and the only way he could do TV was if he did these little pieces where they could edit out his uhs and ums and stuff. Do you know Sam Harris is kind of a stutterer, and I think he edits all those out of his podcast.
Is he?
Yeah,
I can't.
You see him talk. He did the Jordan Peterson thing, and he has a real bad.
I didn't
habit
watch it.
What?
I don't care about morality at all. That's so uninteresting to me.
Because you're self-righteous. You think you have morality down. You think anything
Exactly.
you do is okay.
You nailed it. I know what the answer is. I don't need to debate it.
Okay. So we did. So we picked. I picked one that I thought that Sitch would have a tough time disagreeing with. I picked a Stossel video that Sitch would be conflicted over. And he picked one that he just thinks is bonkers. I didn't even watch it, so maybe it's bonkers.
I think the one you picked is actually worse.
Really? Holy cow.
Well, okay, because in the there's like a middle part where he complains about all the SJW shit in college. It's like, okay, yeah, I don't have any problem with that. But all the stuff before that, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and I don't know the guy that he interviews in. So, and then we have, what is the third one that we have? Do you remember?
I don't know. What is the third one?
Oh, I picked one with Jordan Peterson in it.
Oh, that one. I mean, I watched that one. It'd be kind of boring because I don't have any, disagree with any of it because it's just Jordan Peterson saying Jordan Peterson stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So
he's signal boosting.
Right.
Politicians.
You ready?
Yep. Hit it.
Don't believe in science.
The Republicans are showing themselves to be anti-science.
Once again, the Republican Party looks like it's the anti-science party.
The media say there's a conservative war on science. But is that true?
The real war on science is the one from the left.
For 25 years, John Tierney's written about science for the New York Times. He often questions conventional wisdom, as in...
You're doing
so
it.
This guy's funded by the Koch brothers, right? This guy.
No, this guy's a New York Times writer. Okay, so he's as in the elite bubble as you can get. That's what's funny too, is that he's not talking to a scientist about this. He's talking to a New York Times journalist.
He's probably having lunch with Michelle Goldberg right now.
He probably is. That's right. That's how we know he's full of shit. But it's funny because if you look up his bio, he says he's just like a contrarian. I mean, look at this article. He's talking about how recycling is terrible, which I don't know anything about, but it seems pretty contrarian.
Yeah, don't recycle, kids. Recycling for dum-dums.
But even just framing this whole idea like, oh, the left is, it's not the right that's against science, it's the left. It's like, it's so tribalistic. We know that these things shift back and forth between, which side doesn't like science. Like it's not that liberals or Republicans like science or don't like science. It's that they both try to use science that justifies their position and deny science that doesn't.
Yeah.
Like it's completely apolitical.
It's so simple. Well, no, it's totally hyper political. Are you kidding me?
No, but I mean, it's not like one side versus another side. They both do it.
Yeah. What is the right against science on? I mean, they did the creationism thing forever.
Well, they're still doing it. It's creationism, evolution.
They've chilled a bit on that.
A little bit. But right now, global warming,
climate change, yeah.
But you'll see, because he'll get into some of the stuff, and it gets kind of crazy.
This story, which revealed the pointlessness of much recycling.
It set a record for hate mail at the New York Times Magazine.
Now Tierney writes for the Manhattan Institute's City Journal, where he recently argued that the real war on science comes from the left. That seems odd, since surveys show people on the right are more likely to believe in creationism.
Right, but creationism doesn't affect science. It doesn't affect...
Wait a minute.
Yep.
Wait a second. He just said creationism doesn't affect science.
Doesn't. Not at all.
What the fuck? That's insane. Okay? That's fucking insane. You know how much, like, how many scientific principles wouldn't work if the world was only 10,000 years old? Like, the distance of stars wouldn't make sense. The way light travels wouldn't make sense. The fucking half-life of radioactive materials doesn't make sense. Carbon dating doesn't fucking make sense. Nothing makes sense.
You obviously don't know how all that stuff works. God made it as if it was old. Don't you understand? Come on. Of
course. Of course. God decided, he didn't put it in the Bible, but God decided, I'm going to just fuck with all the people on the planet and make them think that all evidence points to say that the earth is this many years, millions and billions of years old. And so the universe is, but fuck it. I'm just going to trick them.
I was on a live stream a few days ago, and I have this two unthinkable options thing. Like the public schools are kind of falling apart. They're kind of a mess.
Right.
And it appears that they're going to start teaching this gender nonsense in public schools because the trans kids are showing up at school now. So they're going to teach your kids 72 genders. That's
the way you say that. Like, it makes me think like orcs are appearing, like trans kids are appearing.
I am fully against trans kids. If you want to transition when you're 18 years old, that's fine, but don't. There's too many false positives. There's too many false positives. It's just, I mean, I understand. It's just that this small minority, and I fully respect that there are trans people in the world. Those people are children at one time. I mean, I understand this, okay?
Right.
But kids are too susceptible to, kids want to do what is going to make mommy and daddy happy. And every single one of, like, so many of these trans kids have liberal parents. And I would just wonder if they're becoming trans because, oh, mommy and daddy are all for trans people. I can make them happy if I'm a trans person.
Doing that stuff.
I know it sounds bad, but the unthinkable option in school is, for me, are they going to teach your kid Jesus is the son of God, or are they going to teach your kid the 72 genders? Like,
that's you get fucked either way.
Well, but which is politics is about the least detestable option. So I am saying both options are completely unthinkable.
Right.
But which is the lesser of two evils? And on the stream the other night, I was hanging out with a bunch of anti-theists, and they were just saying, "Oh, creationism is the worst." Oh, actually, it was between. No, maybe I don't think it was flat Earth, but they were saying creationism is the worst. Like teaching, like 72 genders, they were just trying to blow it off like that was no big deal at all. Like something they might even be in favor of.
I would say that the creationism is worse because.
Oh my God, you're going there.
I'm going there. Because here's the thing. The 72 genders thing, that's going to end in 20 years from now. When you have, it's going to be 20 or 30 years from now, and you're going to have a shit ton of people who transitioned and realized that they shouldn't have. And it's going to be like this, this a time in medicine where they're going to say, okay, well, we like really went overboard with these procedures.
Yeah. So you're thinking it's going to be like the thalidomide baby thing.
Right. Only not as terrible as that.
Well, what are you talking about? Not as terrible as that.
I think there's a difference between I think having the transition back to your birth gender is better than being a thalidomide baby.
Chop it off and put it back on? You think they can do that? Come on.
It's better than being a thalidomide baby.
Oh, this is crazy. This is why I was telling you it's like two unthinkable options.
It's not good. It's not good, but it's better than being a thalidomide baby or having a lobotomy or something.
The thalidomide babies, though, well, I guess I don't know. I'm not sure how many of them actually lived. I think that they died.
Of course. So there you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. To me, mostly people would rather live.
So let us know in the chat if you would rather be a thalidomide baby or.
or would you rather press one for you'd rather be a thalidomide baby, or press 2 if you'd rather have trans regret. Okay. we'll sort this all out.
I'm letting you.
In fact, the way science is done.
But wait, what about President Bush's opposition to stem cell research?
Destroying human life in the hopes of saving human life is not ethical.
He didn't stop stem cell research.
It was just the government wouldn't fund it. The government wouldn't fund it, pay for it.
And it turned out that it really didn't matter much. People talk.
Okay, so I looked it up, and it's actually, even though like a lot of people say that, like, oh, they just stopped federal funding of it. That's not true. They did create specific regulations of what stem cells can and can't be used.
Mm-hmm.
And if you listen to Joe Rogan, when Mel Gibson had his father on, and they talk about how even today still there's all this stem cell research and medicine that can't be used on people, even though it's super helpful. And people have to go to like Panama to get all these surgeries done that are like miracle surgeries.
With the stem cells?
Yeah, where they like inject stem cells in your, in your bones or wherever.
So you're not in favor of helping the economy of Mexico then, huh?
I said Panama, not Mexico. You racist.
Panama. So it's all the same. Sounds just a little racist, okay? Just a little bit.
But I mean, the whole stem cell thing is a very good example of conservatives pushing against a science, a medicine and science that is very potentially helpful for people.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't even think that the best stem cells they get, I think the best ones they get are from umbilical cords. I don't even think the best ones they get are even from, aborted fetuses or anything.
Right. I don't know much about, it's difficult for me to take a hard position on stem cell research since I don't know much about it, but it definitely would suck if you were waiting for some kind of treatment. I think, Back to the Future guy, what's his name? He had Parkinson's disease. I was worried about
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox. He thought some stem cell research might help him out, and I know. Mm-hmm. I think he met in front of Congress to try to get the ban lifted, but I don't think it happened.
Yeah, people have been trying to use it for Parkinson's. I don't know if they've been successful. I'm trying to remember. I think Mel Gibson's dad had a lot of like joint problems and immune system problems and some other things, and they like fully healed them, but almost.
Wow.
So it's definitely, stem cells is definitely going to be the future when they tamper that thing down. So just blow it off. This is the Stossel thing. Oh, just blow it off. It's not a big deal. Whatever.
So that I do notice that is one thing that could be perceived as very unlikable about John Stossel, because he is the biggest cheerleader for whichever side he's on. Like, this guy, he's not doing the impartial journalist thing. He's like, come on, we don't need that stuff.
But that's my problem with him. He's totally not impartial. He's not impartial at all. He's completely, I'm a right-wing libertarian, and everything they do is awesome and correct, and everything liberals do is terrible.
Libertarians on the left, but just, we can continue.
Well, he's a right-wing libertarian.
Yeah.
Talk about this Republican war on science, but if you look around, my question is, where are the casualties? What scientists lost their jobs? I can't find examples where the right wing stopped the progress of science. Whereas you can look on the left and you see...
Even though they just talked about stem cell like 2 seconds ago. Where's the casualties? I don't know.
They papered over it, though, because they said that the free market continued on with stem cell research, that they just didn't give government funding. They didn't make stem cell research illegal.
There's certain things, there's certain techniques and stuff that apparently are illegal. So I don't know who made them illegal. Maybe it wasn't Bush, but someone did.
So many areas that are taboo to research.
Some research on genetically modified foods became taboo because of protests from the left. Tierney says that stifled research into what could have been a second green revolution to feed Africa. Also,
I knew you were going to love that one. We could have fed Africa. We could have fed Africa.
I'm pretty sure that we've all seen that statistic that says that America produces a lot more food than it needs, like, already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So,
definitely.
So the idea that, if we could just feed Africa, if we just had a little bit more Monsanto, Frankenstein seeds in the ground, like, and so he doesn't even say like what's the science there? Okay. Because I'm sure that there's a lot of GMO food that's totally awesome, and I'm sure there's a lot of it that's not totally awesome. And he just says it like it's a generalized thing.
Do you know about the suicide seeds?
No.
Oh man, that's terrifying. That's totally terrifying. The corporations don't want the farmers to be able to use the seed from their crops. Yeah. So they put this suicide gene so that the crops only have, like, they basically have to go back to the manufacturer every time they want to get seeds.
Right.
Which is
seeds
terrifying.
Right.
Like, can you imagine that gene getting out into the regular,
Well, I mean, that would be terrible, but I would hope that something like that wouldn't translate, to animals.
I don't think it would translate to animals. What I'm saying is that if the wild breeds started producing seeds, well, first of all, it would destroy the wild breeds. They would be out of business.
And just to be clear, what it does is when the seed grows the plant will produce seeds that are sterile.
Sterile, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I remember I saw some video about that, and a lot of farmers are really upset about this because they won't use those seeds, but then like the wind will still push them into their land or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It fucks up their crops.
The neighbor uses a seed and it takes down the crop. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. We don't need any government regulation for that or anything.
And like
just the free market works.
The free market. It's just a business. Just do whatever they want because they have your best interest at heart, right?
Yeah. As the farmer.
But I haven't. What is this? Yeah, I've heard. There's lots of people complaining about GMOs, and I agree that like just saying something is genetically modified doesn't mean it's good or bad. But have you heard stories of all these food companies saying, "Oh, we were going to like increase the yield of food and it was going to be amazing," but then there's just liberal protests that have spread across the country about GMOs just stopped us from doing it.
No, but I bet we could go to YouTube and see some clips or something.
You can find some clips of 100 people somewhere one time saying, "Take down the GMOs."
The left does hate the GMOs. Are you kidding me? Like a lot of the labeling says GMO free now, which I don't. It's a
marketing. It's a marketing thing.
Yeah, they probably. I mean, the corporation probably saddled up right to Congress and said, "Hey, we need to be able to put GMO free on our GMO products."
Exactly. I'm sure it's all bullshit anyway.
Like, how do we get away with this?
No, but the idea that liberals not liking GMOs is stifling some great food intervention, like. Citation needed. Like, please give me something there, specific.
They're saying in the chat there's problems with the stream. It looks good on my end. I'm wired up, and I took Sitch's advice and I called the cable company. And they said
did you?
They said our cable was on like 3 threads. So,
wow.
So they fixed it up. So
interesting.
I have seen the stream dip a little bit, but it hasn't dipped below. I mean, everything looks good on my end. So turn your bandwidth down. Here, what's this one at? Here, let's look at this here. We'll set it to medium or something. See if that works.
So, Rachel.
Yes.
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready. Hit it.
Carson silent spraying and her baseless claim that DDT caused cancer in humans is still taught in high schools today. But there's no mention of the millions killed by malaria because countries needlessly ban DDT. And science...
Okay.
Needlessly banned it.
Okay. This is supposed to be a video about...
And thalidomide. It was doing great for people.
The reason they stopped using DDT in America is because lots of people did science, including the military, because the military used it a shitload.
Yeah.
And they said, this is bad for you. You shouldn't be using this.
Wasn't Agent Orange DDT basically?
I don't know. I don't think so.
The Agent Orange was a deforestation agent that they used in Vietnam, and a bunch of the Vietnam prisoners got it sprayed right on top of them. My dad was actually in Vietnam, and he said tons of times it would rain down like DDT on his head.
Actually, it says it was a type of DDT.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Wow, I had no idea.
My dad would just drink that stuff, though. He's a badass.
Well, yeah, like I was looking up. Well, first of all, it's stupid too because there are still lots of countries that do use DDT, and actually, the World Health Organization says it's good for countries. Like they have to do a what's the word when you like balance the pros and cons of things. Like
a cost benefit analysis.
A cost benefit analysis, yes. Even that liberal World Health Organization does cost benefit analysis for countries, and countries that have severe malaria problems will still use DDT because the cost of people getting cancer or tumors, or I think it causes a lot of problems in pregnant women.
Right.
The cost of that is still less than the malaria. So it's not like, liberals just had this complete fear that was not based on science about DDT, and now poor people in Africa and South America are dying from malaria, you know.
But look at that mustache, man. Look at that mustache.
Oh my God. But it's like they use science to determine that this shit was bad for you.
Yeah.
So fuck this guy. Crazy.
Did you take your heart medication before this stream? I want to make sure.
I'm not that old.
I want to make sure you're okay.
Scientists can't even talk about whether genes affect intelligence.
The federal government stopped funding IQ research decades ago.
Research.
Okay, what does that mean?
They stopped funding IQ research?
What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know that IQ research is super necessary, but
And isn't it funny that like literally a minute like ago he was saying, "Oh, it's not a big deal. The stem cell ban wasn't a big deal. It was just the federal government stopping funding on it."
Now he's saying, "You're right. And now he's saying, "Oh, it's terrible that they stopped funding this. They stopped funding our research." When we defund their research, not a big deal. When they defund our research, oh my God.
It's literally the same video.
Come on,
Stossel.
Go easy on Stossel, man.
Oh no.
He's a
he never
national
called
treasure. He's a national treasure.
I'm not going easy.
Researchers who looked at it anyway, like Charles Murray, are screamed at on college campuses.
People who studied IQ needed bodyguards for their lectures. It's something that can't be discussed.
Likewise, researching
Okay, so I obviously think that all the SJW shit complaining about Charles Murray is bullshit. I've done a fucking 2-hour video about Ezra Klein on Vox when he was bitching at Sam Harris about this.
Yeah.
But okay, if we're going to look at the cost-benefit analysis here, okay, what is the horrible benefit that is affecting what is the horrible cost that is affecting the U.S. because people aren't looking into intelligence based on race research versus stem cell research?
I don't know that there is a terrible cost to it. I think I think that any topic is open for scientific inquiry. So
right.
I don't like the fact that they're socially prohibiting it. I mean, did you see that article? You read the article in Quillette. Yeah, the article that I posted about that. I think it was on this kind of the same topic, right? It was about the differences in gender and interest, right? It was
it was the male. Was it the male IQ variable hypothesis?
Oh yeah. Men are smarter and dumber. We inhabit both ends of the distribution scale. So that is kind of Bill Murray stuff. Charles Murray stuff.
Well, did Charles Murray even talk about that?
About the discrepancies between gender? I don't believe so, no. The bell curve makes a case that society is being stratified by IQ. And that people can turn high IQs into high incomes. And those people marry one another and turn those into high IQ babies. And we're sort of forming an aristocracy based on IQ.
Remember that when we watched the next video where John Stossel says that college is a scam and you shouldn't go to college.
Jordan Peterson says college is kind of a scam. I mean, Jordan Peterson is talking about how he wants to start an online university.
He's saying that the way the liberal arts are structured is becoming, corrupted, or is perhaps not able to being saved.
Yeah,
that's not what John Stossel is saying.
What's John Stossel saying?
Well, you will see when we watch the video.
Can't wait. But the bell curve stuff, I think Charles Murray got a bad rap.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's one of the places I actually agree with Sam Harris. It's like the bell curve reads like a liberal manifesto to me, because he's talking about how we have to account for this, otherwise society is going to be ill prepared.
And he's for universal basic income.
He is, exactly.
The very conservative idea of universal basic income.
He wants to structure it, though, which is a very interesting thing that he's talking about doing. He's saying that society could become destabilized if you don't need to interact with people socially. So he's worried that universal basic income will give people enough money to live on their own. And that's what he wants to
sit in your house all day.
Yeah, he wants to give enough universal basic income that if you got a roommate, you and the roommate could share the household expenses, and therefore you would be forced to be somewhat social, which I think is kind of an interesting idea. I mean, he is a social psychologist. I mean, he's
right,
or a social scientist. A lot of people hate. It's funny. A lot of people talk bad about social science, but they talk as if economics is like the be all and end all. Economics is a social science, which is kind of funny. That's a great point. Yeah, but
social science is good. The problem is that when it gets taken over by, SJWs.
Yeah, that's why I'm into the morality stuff, because morality is the problem. Morality is the problem. When people build up this social dynamic where if you don't toe the party line, you're going to be ostracized and your job opportunities are going to fall off a cliff, and all your friendships are going to die. It's terrible. I mean, that's what happened in that article, right? I mean, they put social pressure on those people not to publish it.
Yeah, just for the people that didn't read it, it was pretty gross. Are these guys, was it one guy or a couple guys?
I don't know.
It was some women. I don't know. Some people somewhere did a study on the statistical idea that men are more likely to be both retarded, like actually retarded, and be super geniuses. And they did the study. I think it verified the claim. And they were going to publish it in a scientific journal. And then, of course, all these fucking SJW professors were like, no, if you publish that, it'll make women in the STEM fields feel bad about themselves, and they'll not want to succeed at life anymore for some reason.
Yeah, they won't want to compete in the male dominance hierarchy. Yeah, right. Are you kidding me? They're dying to get into that male dominance hierarchy.
So it was pretty absurd.
But so the paper actually got published, or no, they turned it down for one journal. I think it was
got accepted and then rejected afterwards.
Right. And so a second journal came in and said, hey, retool it and we'll publish it. It was accepted to another peer-reviewed journal. And between acceptance and publication, they pulled the article, published some other article in its place, and put her in this bind where it's in this gray area where it's technically been published. So she can't go to another publisher and get it published because this company owns a copyright to it, but they're not going to put it out. So
Right.
the name of the article is Down the Memory Hole. It's or another scientific paper down the memory hole, something like that, on Coolette. But I mean, it's a terrible, terrible situation when we have to deny science because we're worried it's going to affect people.
Right. And to kind of bring it back, like they're 100% definitely a bunch of SJWs on the left who will deny science because it doesn't fit their political ideology. But Stossel doesn't care about science. Stossel doesn't care about objectivity. He just cares about getting points for his side.
No, I don't. I disagree. I disagree.
Where's his video? Okay, if he cared about,
you're not you got to give him the principle of charity. Come on,
I don't give him
just,
any, no. No, here's
he
the
was
thing.
with ABC forever, and then he went to Fox News because ABC just hated everyone at ABC hated his guts.
Because he's an ideologue. Of course, they hated his guts. If he was serious, wait a minute. If he was serious, wait a minute. If he was objective and serious about science on principle, he wouldn't start the whole video off as this apologetics for why all the times the right has not gone with science that it's been okay. He would say, "Oh, the right has been bad on science in the past, and now the left's being bad on science."
Yeah,
but
like we're doing.
Say that.
Yeah, like we're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I'm always right. You just believe everything I say.
No. He's right, but the right is right sometimes, though.
Of course they are.
Stossel is when the right is right, then he's right.
Yeah,
you gotta take it when you can get it, man.
Yeah, exactly. And so when the left is arbitrarily right because the science doesn't go against their ideology, then they're right too.
When is the left right these days, though? Damn it, they're on a losing streak. Things? What's that?
Well, are you talking about on science, or are you talking about on anything?
Just anything.
Well, we were just talking about all this stuff about why you need regulations for businesses.
Oh,
that's all
true.
Left stuff.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
And what about freedom from religion? That's typically a left idea, except when it comes to Islam.
Then it's mandatory.
But remember, I told you in even though it was a Democrat that proposed the bill because she's a minister or something, the Republicans control the Congress and they signed off on it in Florida, and now Florida schools have to put a fucking sign that says
"Oh
God
yeah, I
we
remember."
trust everywhere.
I actually think that might be a good idea. Well, I'm a pragmatist, so it's like if they put the sign up and it prevents one school shooting because
we talked about this. You think the school shooter's going to come in and they're going to see the God we trust sign, they're going to go, "Oh no, God's watching me."
I would rather than put up a big statue of Moses with the 10 Commandments and just evil scowl on his face, like "Thou shalt not kill," like that.
What about remember Roy Moore in Alabama, who was accused of sexually assaulting underage girls?
Oh, I know that guy. Ugh.
But before then, he had his big controversy was that he kept putting up the fucking 10 Commandments in front of his courthourse, and even though the government kept saying and suing him and saying you're not allowed to do that, he kept doing it.
He was trying to do exactly what I'm talking about.
He was trying to prevent a shooter from shooting in Congress.
No, he was trying to prevent himself from molesting more underage girls. He was like, "Okay, if I go to work and I see this every day, it'll help. It'll help."
You know what? You've convinced me. There you go.
He's
we need the 10 Commandments. If you're that's what we need to do with all the pedophile priests. They just need to have a big 10 Commandments statue.
They've done
in the church.
They've done psychological experiments. I'm telling you, if they just put a big eye up over the classroom, people cheat less. I mean, people don't like to cheat if they feel like they're being watched, and a fake eye works as good as a real eye. So.
Mm-hmm.
You need one of those Moses statues at every entrance.
That's it. We need a Moses statue in every school, in every courthouse, and in every church.
This is a good idea. I don't think we should take this. We should take this idea. We should take this idea to the higher ups.
Okay.
What's that show on CNBC? Shark Tank. We need to take this to the Shark Tank, man. This is a good idea, I'm telling you.
Yeah, we're gonna sell our own Moses statues. No, we'll be like an inflatable one, so you can just put it anywhere.
How about if Moses actually has like a rifle? If it's like a cross between Moses and Rambo. How about that?
There you go. No, it's Moses and Charlton Heston as one.
Oh my goodness. We want him with modern hardware though. And laser eyes. He's gotta have laser.
Gotta have laser eyes.
We'll figure it out.
Gender differences has become taboo.
You can't talk about sexual differences between men and women. I mean, it's okay if they favor women. I mean, you can say that men are more likely to commit crimes, but you can't suggest anything that there might be some kind of sexual difference that might predispose men to be more interested in a topic.
Google fired engineer J.
You were in favor of the Google firing, weren't you?
Yeah, I was totally. That's why I did 3 videos. Yeah, so okay, I'm fine with that. I agree. You can't talk about gender differences because SJWs.
Half this video is correct.
This part is correct. This one section.
James Damore.
That's it.
Merely because he wrote a memo suggesting that sex differences might explain why more men work in tech.
Damore just pointed out very basic scientific research about differences between the sexes. And the people and the experts in this, as soon as he published that memo, said, yes, he basically got the science right.
But that didn't matter.
To even mention that there are these differences in the sexes was just taboo. You can't say that there are more men interested in sitting all day doing computer coding than women are.
It's not that women aren't doing well in life, says Tierney. Women get most college degrees and graduate degrees.
Women dominate virtually every extracurricular activity, but all the
if I'm John Stossel and I'm thinking, okay, I'm trying to make this ideological manipulative piece, would you choose stock footage of ballet dancers?
Oh, I know. She was like the angelic light. I was waiting for a little music to chime in there. Oh.
Yeah, this was very weird.
All those women look bored. They should have thrown in footage of like a woman on a computer going, I don't understand. Which I think this deserves a little Adam edit. I think I can make this more interesting.
You definitely could.
Focus has been, why aren't there more women physicists and mathematicians, and of course in the sports area too. And so there's this idea that they're being discriminated against there, when in fact the evidence really shows the reverse. There have been just enormous studies of who gets grants, who gets tenure, who gets interviews for jobs, and women get preference if anything.
The women
now
say,
that's true, right? That's totally true.
I completely agree with that 100%. The problem is they only accept that because it fits their political ideology.
Yeah, but that's the way human nature is. Like you really can only accept things.
You're right. You're right. But what are you and me doing?
Well, I keep an open mind. You're the one.
We're moving beyond our human nature. Okay? We're becoming enlightened centrists. We're taking the real red pill.
Look at Stossel, man. He's pissed at you. He thinks what you're doing is wrong. Very wrong.
What he's doing is wrong. He's a fucking tribalistic shithead.
There's a clip that I used in a recent video that I did of Sam Harris talking about the problem with religion is that it's the dogma and that we have to be able to change our opinions in real time through conversation. That's almost a verbatim quote. Don't hold me to it, but do you know how unstable the world would be if people could change their minds in real time in conversation? Like everyone would be completely snookered at every turn.
Right. That's true. That's a good point. The problem is, well, I don't know if would it be better or worse? I don't know.
Oh, it'd be worse. It would be an unstable world. Are you kidding
when you
me?
say change your mind, I mean, I don't think he's talking about everyone just changes their mind at the drop of a hat.
Nobody changes their mind ever. They die.
I think what he's saying is if you could separate yourself emotionally from your opinions and be able to look at things pragmatically.
Yeah, but whenever it's some kind of moral claim, those really only are affected by emotion. They aren't affected by
but there's things that aren't necessarily moral related. Like what they just talked about with how women are doing well in every aspect of college and in studies, with the exception of STEM.
Right.
Okay, so you can't look. So you look at that and you say, well, maybe it's not because men are horrible and keeping women down. Maybe there's some other reason for it.
Right. Yeah.
You men run most of society. You head the corporations, you make more money. It must be discrimination.
I mean, men are more aggressive, they're more risk-taking, the status matters more to them, making money matters more to them. Women aren't as interested in that. There's this enormous evidence.
Can't say that.
Well, I guess I won't be president of Harvard.
He says today's universities are dominated by leftists.
In the social sciences, Democrats outnumber Republicans by at least 8-1. In some fields like sociology, it's 44-1. Students are more likely to be taught in sociology by a Marxist than by a Republican. It's gotten worse and worse. Once an academic department gets a majority of people who are on the left, they start hiring people like themselves, and pretty soon the whole department is that way. And they start to think that their opinions and that their interests are not only the norm, but the truth.
So they publish articles like this one saying conservatives have lower IQ and are more likely to be.
I mean, is it true? I don't know. I didn't read the study.
Conservatives are more likely to be ethnocentric. I think
Yes.
using the non-inflammatory term, I think, is better.
Right, yeah. I don't know about the IQ thing, but yeah, conservatives are definitely more likely to be prejudiced.
Ethnocentrism feels like the opposite of racism. Racism is hating other races. Ethnocentrism is liking your own race. I mean, nationalism.
I don't know if I agree with that. It's a pretty blurry line.
Are ants ethnocentric? I mean, when I put the red ants and the black ants together, they fight.
Yeah, but they're different species.
Oh, I guess they are technically. Yeah. Good.
So-
Good on you. Good on you. What do you say? What
Their
exactly are you
species is-
saying? Sounds like you're saying that blacks are a different species.
That's exactly what I'm saying. You got me.
We got a super chat. Someone wants me to do voices.
Caffeinated Fiend for $2 Canadian. Adam, edit only if you dub the lady voices to LOL.
I may try that.
Oh my god. That's the real reason that you're so against trans people.
I
Because
know.
if you,
This is
if
my.
you transitioned, you couldn't do the voice.
That was actually. Oh, I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, you don't go there.
Don't go there.
Don't go there.
So these, someone on Twitter was saying that just misrepresenting conservatives is the left's whole game plan these days. And I feel like that's a huge tactical mistake and horrible for society. So HuffPost, I think, falls into that category.
Mm-hmm. Someone said I don't know if they're right, but someone said the study showed that conservatives were more likely to hold higher degrees.
I wonder if I can get another super chat out of Caffeinated Fiend if I do more voices for you.
Caffeinated Fiend for $2 Canadian.
Make it stop.
I take it back.
Caffeinated Fiend for $10. Please, no, stop.
We'll do a video where we both do the lady.
Oh no.
Yay!
So so where are we at with Stossel? Where?
He's an asshole.
So, but you started there. You need to be able to change your mind in conversation. I think the real problem with society today is people can't amend their opinions in real time.
But hey, but you changed your mind because I showed you how if he was really objective, he could have been objective and principled about science in this video. He chose not to be.
It didn't really change my mind.
Oh, okay.
I just pretended to change my mind.
Okay, I see how it is.
I can't even remember what I changed my mind about. So technically, I didn't really change my mind.
There you go.
I might have agreed with you to make you feel better, but
you just agreed so I would shut up.
Be prejudiced. Science shows conservatives are more closed-minded.
Problem with this
like
is
this
it's been done by all these liberal social scientists. They would ask people.
So wait a minute. He said science shows that conservatives are more closed-minded.
look at the way he shows so much emotion. Don't you?
Isn't that, you agree with that? Science shows that conservatives are more closed-minded. I mean, that's the whole fucking thing that Jordan Peterson and Jonathan Haidt always talking about.
Yeah. Science does show that they're more closed-minded.
Because orderly versus openness.
Yeah, exactly. That's why a tradition. Go with what's working. We don't need to know how it works. It works.
Right.
Quit whining about it.
But see, even he frames it. He doesn't frame it as orderliness versus openness. He says, "Oh, they're closed-minded." You know, he has to frame it in a negative way.
Stossel, I think, is more libertarian than conservative, but libertarians
it's like
and
the same thing.
No, they're not. It's
I don't care.
Different. It's very different. Are you kidding me?
No, I know. I'm just trolling.
Yeah.
But they're both on the right, and he's definitely a cheerleader
No, they're
of
not.
the right. Yes, they are. He's on the economic right.
Libertarians are on the left socially, big time.
Yes, socially, but he's completely on the economic right.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever heard him talk about social issues, only economic stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't follow him super closely, so I'm sure he has at some point.
Yeah, I've watched a bunch of his videos, but I don't remember.
He always talks about, he doesn't want government taking your tax monies.
You realize government is seriously inefficient in a lot of ways.
Of course
right?
it is.
Yeah.
Corporations are seriously inefficient.
Well, if they can be, but the idea behind corporations is someone else is going to come in and take their lunch money if they don't. It's like there's some pressure there for them to be.
Right, but that never fucking happens.
The pressure. Go ahead.
I just posted on Twitter, there's a great video that Knowledge Hub, the alternate history hub guy, made. That was all about the fucking Gilded Age and how when you had this unfettered, unregulated capitalism and free market, that you had the robber barons like J.P. Morgan and the fucking real guy whose name I can't remember, and all the oil barons and the steel barons. They would just do whatever the fuck they wanted. They just basically ruled the whole country.
Good times.
For like 30 years.
Good times.
Yeah, exactly. When people were working when Americans were working in sweatshops,
yes,
and they had no minimum wage, they couldn't unionize, they couldn't have days off, and they had child labor. Those were the great times for the great, right-wing libertarian, free market.
Didn't Teddy Roosevelt put the kibosh on that, and he was a Republican?
He did, and that's because that was back. Because see, as
he
you
was
said,
a Republican. Wasn't it a Republican that freed the slaves too?
Okay, nice.
I'm just saying. I mean.
Because as you said that it didn't use Republicans didn't used to be like in bed with big business. That's not the way it used to be. And Teddy Roosevelt's the perfect example because he was the one who came into power.
Yep.
A Republican, and he bashed all these monopolies away because he was actually really conservative. He actually realized, okay, the markets and the free market works, but you have to let it work. You can't let people take advantage of the system.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the problem where we are predisposed to work the system where we can, and if the system doesn't evolve to fight that, then pretty soon people are taking advantage of the system. Where I don't know where we're at on that. I think we're pretty close to just something big has to change. I think one of the reasons why people voted for Trump was because they want big change. They think we are this. They think the system is rigged. We're
right, because the system is rigged.
Yeah, there's
as you were talking about how no matter what people think, government doesn't change what they vote for.
Yeah,
but the problem is that because people say, okay, well, I'm going to vote for Trump because I want change, but but it's like, okay, what is Trump going to? What is he going to break up the monopolies?
No.
Is he going to take money out of politics?
He's no Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, he's no Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah. He's trying to figure out how to get his kids elected. He's like, Eric can be first, and then the other one, and then the first female president will be Ivanka.
I thought Eric was the one that he didn't care about.
Oh, I don't know.
It was Donald Jr.
Donald Jr. is going to be first. Yeah, exactly. Get ready.
Did you hear what? He's going out with what's her face?
No.
That lady from the
Candace Owens? Why is that funny? You racist?
Oh my God, could you imagine? Could you imagine Donald Jr. going out with Candace Owens?
Candace Owens is just blowing up, man. She's smart. She is very smart. She's socially smart. Very socially smart.
She's
I don't believe anything she
salesman.
says. I don't want anyone to think.
Right. She's a great salesman.
Yeah, if Candace Owens is selling a product that I'm into, I'm with Candace Owens. Like she. So.
Oh no. Okay. So Donald Trump Jr. is going out with Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Okay.
Do you know who that is? She's on the Fox 5 or whatever it's called.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So she's got to be hot then. They don't.
Yeah, she's pretty good. So her nickname for him is Junior Mint.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that fucking terrible?
That is terrible.
Isn't that I didn't think about it till just now. It's like there's like a weird thing going on if you're going out with a girl or you're married to a woman and she's calling you Junior. She's like referencing your father.
Yeah, it's gross. Very sick. Francis Fukuyama wrote a book called The Origins of Political Order, and he wrote a second book called The Origins of Political Decline. And if you read that Origins of Political Decline in the current environment, it's super depressing, man. It is depressing. So
because we're headed towards political decline. Yeah,
I mean the income inequality gets out of. I know there's a certain amount of income inequality that's acceptable, but income inequality gets super out of control and it destabilizes society.
Right.
And we're in a situation right now with our political leaders where one side is going to say, "Oh, it's the sky is falling," and the other side is going to say, "Oh, nothing, it's no big deal." But really, the truth is somewhere in the middle. But if you have both political parties and you can't really trust either one of them at all, you're totally screwed. And no one is aiming for any kind of truthful assessment of the situation. So
and that's why I don't like Stossel, because he represents not aiming for the truthful assessment.
Yeah, Brett Weinstein said something super interesting at the beginning of the Jordan Peterson Sam Harris debates, where he was talking about how we're kind of in this time now where our sense making apparatus has gone awry to the point where people are looking to other places, and he makes the argument that that's why people like Jordan Peterson are getting big, and there's so much buzz around the intellectual dark web, is because people are looking for a sense-making apparatus that is nonpartisan, that will give some indication of truth. Maybe we can be a part of that. That'd be super cool, huh? We'll be your sense-making apparatus. We're screwed.
We are sense-making apparatus. We definitely are.
Yeah, to some extent.
Yeah. No, I agree 100% that yes, the systems, especially the media that we used to look towards for just nonpartisan factual information is fallen away.
Yeah, that article that I sent you from Mother Jones, like, what the hell? Like, 3 words in and you're already just blatantly lying. It's crazy. But Mother Jones did an article. They're calling Jordan Peterson the alt-right darling. It's like, what the hell? Did they go to the ball together or something? I don't like.
No, you see, they have the little machines that they use to pick the lotto numbers.
Yeah.
They just have positive synonyms in there, and they just pick one out.
A randomizer.
Yeah, they just randomize.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were saying in the article that you sent me, they were saying that alt-right darling Jordan Peterson is pushing the carnivore diet, and they were trying to make the carnivore diet is like this new right-wing diets, to push on, to dunk on the vegans. I was like, it's just so absurd. It's so absurd.
Well, everyone hates the vegans, so.
Yeah, because they're annoying.
Yeah.
But if the carnivore diet became popular, they would be just as annoying as vegans. Like, oh, you can't eat that ice cream and bread. What the fuck? You can only eat meat.
I might try the carnivore diet out. That sounds actually good. I like meat, and also you would have to eat very smaller portions because meat has so many calories in it.
I think, I don't know, I think bread has more calories per volume, doesn't it? Than
bread
meat?
Is toxic. Bread is just
toxic. Bread is toxic. See, but here's going back to the GMOs. Because, when all the gluten stuff started to come out, everyone was like, oh, it's just, stupid liberals complaining about gluten. But it's like, now it's like, no, there are lots of people having gluten problems. But why wasn't it a problem before?
The GMOs.
Well, I don't know. Is it the GMOs
I don't know.
in the wheat, or is it that there's some environmental thing that's making people sicker than normal so that they just can't tolerate what they used to be able to tolerate?
Pesticides.
Or just, I'm sure there's all sorts of shit in the environment.
Yeah, our environment's just toxic right now. We need to become robots. I'm ready.
Come on, Elon Musk. Let's get on the robot train. Stop building fucking tunnels. No one cares about that.
We are good at this, man. We've made this 4-minute video go an hour and 15 minutes already, man. We rule.
We did like a 4-minute video for like 4 hours, didn't we?
Did you see what I titled the stream?
Yeah, I did.
We're gonna argue for 4 hours.
I did.
Left-wing groups like communists and conservatives were more prejudiced. Finally, someone went out and started asking.
Okay, let's rewind it because I don't know what the fuck he was talking about.
Look at the Stossel eyes, man. He's like batting his eyelashes at him. He's like, "I love you." Keep telling it. Keep He's like, "Truth to power, brother. Truth to power."
They would ask people about left-wing groups like communists and conservatives were more prejudiced. Finally, someone went out and started asking different kinds of questions. And when he asked liberals about things that mattered to them, like environmentalism or like Barack Obama, turned out they were just as irrational and dogmatic as conservatives were.
One survey question asked, do you believe in the law?
Yeah,
that's totally true. This is why this is why they only have right-wing authoritarians. Because all the questions are designed to piss right-wingers off.
Right, and yeah, and I agree. That's ridiculous. Authoritarian isn't a point on the left or right-wing spectrum. Anyone can be authoritarian.
Yeah.
But see, he conflated, because they were talking about prejudice, being prejudiced or closed-minded. But then he conflates that with authoritarian. They're not the same thing.
Yeah. But his argument though is correct though.
His point is right, but he's comparing it to something that's not right.
Right.
Because he's saying, oh, well, these tests show that they're saying conservatives are more closed-minded, but then we did more study and found that liberals can be authoritarian.
Correct.
Okay, those aren't related to each other.
Right. But they're just as dogmatic.
Yes, definitely. Everyone is dogmatic. It doesn't matter if you're left or right.
Even us.
Except for us.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that.
No,
that didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right.
We're dogmatic in favor of the truth. There you go.
Yeah.
Long run, hard work usually brings a better life.
I mean, that seems obvious to anyone, right? But that was classified as a rationalization of inequality.
Another study asked.
So, what are they talking about? Like
they're talking about the left getting all triggered over
no, I
terms.
get that, but they don't say like what the fuck the study they're referencing is.
I know, yeah.
Like they just said like here's a question from a study.
Check out some of the descriptions in Sitch's videos, man. They're boring, man. It's like all kinds of shit to read.
I know, it's so terrible. I put my sources there.
John Stossel's his descriptions, it's just like johnstossel.com.
I think you're right. No, he does the thing that you do where like he'll like write like a fucking 10-paragraph essay about, himself or whatever the subject is. Just to try to get into the algorithm.
Yeah, totally. John, did you catch the little winky eyes? Like he's hamming it up for the camera. I mean, I'm wondering if these are actual, because when you edit, you can put a reaction shot, whatever reaction shot you want in.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that reaction shot was definitely, I mean, I thought he was getting ready to hit on him or something.
That'd be funny. You find out all the reaction shots are like after the fact, fake, like in post.
Yeah. See, that's why people don't like this slick edited stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's deceptive. We got your number, Stossel.
I'm looking at the video right now. In the description, it's like there's no sources. There's nothing there.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
It's just nonsense.
Do you agree that the Earth has plenty of natural resources if we just learn how to develop them?
That is conventional wisdom among people who study economics.
Okay. Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's fucking crazy.
What do you mean?
Let's
we're
go
going to
back a
box
second.
here. This is good.
Yeah.
Earth has plenty of natural resources if we learn how to develop them.
We
Yep.
did. We talked about this in California.
Yeah, totally.
Earth has plenty
We
of
did,
natural
didn't we?
resources if we just learn how to develop them.
That is conventional wisdom among people who study economics. But that was classified in that study as a denial of environmental realities.
So think
Okay. It depends. Okay.
Environmental reality denies.
Here's the problem. It's such a broad statement that the Earth has plenty of resources, if we properly manage them or develop them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does that even mean?
It means that we're not going to run out of oil.
Yeah, exactly.
It means quit worrying about it. Sitch, jeez, take a nap or something.
And then he says, "Oh yeah, people who study economics totally believe that we have an infinite amount of resources." Like, why are we? Okay, of course, economists think that.
It's not an infinite amount of resources. We live in a knowledge economy. We have an infinite amount of ways to configure those resources. That's why.
Well, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah,
potentially. Wait a minute. Potentially. Right, but there's a difference. We potentially have we potentially.
Are you saying that there's not an infinite number of like novels people can write? There's not an infinite number.
No. Okay, when they say resources, I'm talking about natural resources.
Right, but natural resources are just configuration in the same way that novels are configurations of words.
Right.
Like there's only 27 letters in the alphabet.
Right. So I understand. Yeah. So like theoretically, if you could turn a single grain of dirt to use all the energy in the dirt up. Yes. Oh, actually, no. Even if you could, that's not true because there's literally only a finite amount of energy in every physical piece of matter on the planet that can be used up. And I'm assuming it's some astronomical amount. So that's kind of doesn't matter.
Right.
So in a realistic setting, it's what you were saying. Yeah, there's potentially an infinite amount of ways that we could organize things or get energy from things.
Yeah.
But we don't have those ways yet.
And they would be based on recycling. So checkmate.
No, but I mean, like, it's absurd they're acting like, oh, as you said, like, oh, we just have an infinite amount of oil or ozone layer or water. So it doesn't fucking matter what we do with it.
Well, we do. I mean, the amount of water on Earth is the same as the amount of water that was. I mean, water is a system.
Not drinking water.
Well, we need to clean some up, but water is a system. We can do it through desalinization.
Right, but that costs energy and money.
It does. It does. That's why the configuration is important.
And we don't have an infinite amount of gas.
Yeah, gasoline, but we're going to go to solar and I mean,
you sound like a liberal. What are you talking about? We don't solar.
The paradigm, but the paradigm shifts do take place. I mean, they happen.
Of course.
There's less materials in your cell phone now. Like your cell phone is a configuration of materials that was just unthinkable 20 years ago.
But so let me ask you a question. Is it the left that's pushing for new configurations of energy, or is it the right?
Well, they're both. I don't know. Like, I don't know I don't know what's going on in Washington these days. Trump is supposed to clean this stuff up.
A nice little slither away from the answer.
Slither away.
It's the liberals that are pushing for the new configurations of solar and wind and all this other nonsense.
Yeah, they are. See, this is what's horrible. When people make an issue that shouldn't be a moral issue or a partisan issue, it's terrible. It's terrible. Like now all of a sudden solar and wind and different types of reusable energy are considered a leftist thing. So you have to hate those things just because the left is the people who want to force you to use gender pronouns. So now we can't accept their nuclear policy. Although
Exactly.
the left doesn't like nuclear. The left is anti-nuclear. So
Yeah, they are. But see, it's the same thing with climate change.
they're like Fukushima scares us. No nuclear.
Well, they've been against nuclear before, even that.
Yeah.
But see, there's the key. If they could turn nuclear waste into something not terrible.
When I lived in Santa Cruz, I lived with this hippie girl who would always leave the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
And she would talk about how, oh, it's just so much better. It's like sunny. And I'm like, that's electric light. They burn coal to make that. It's like, well, are you crazy? Like, that's nuts.
But it does
Her
make
heart
me
was
laugh.
in the right place.
Yes, but it does make me laugh that in the video that's supposed to be the left's war on science, and they're talking about, allocation of resources and stuff. And this guy brings up, well, the economists say that's okay. Like, what the fuck do the economists know about?
What's an economist?
The economist, you're right, I'm sorry. What the fuck do I know? What do I know? I don't know anything. I can't even speak properly.
The economist.
The Jungian economist. All these Jungian economists running around.
All right, the economist. We got
The
it.
economist. Why we care what the economists think about the amount of resources on this planet and how viable it is that they'll go on forever?
They're just leftist social psychologists.
Exactly. There you go.
Classified in that study as a denial of environmental realities.
So think about that next time you hear about that conservative war on science.
When it comes to science, I mean, if anything, conservatives are more scientifically literate than liberals are.
See, are you still think this is some sort of objective, based on principled video?
No, definitely. Something's going on here. I smell a rat.
Mm-hmm.
I was won over by the mustache, man. He looks like a detective. We're detectives. He's one of us.
So, judging on last week's stream, if you had a dog with a mustache, a pug with a mustache.
Oh my God, it'd be over. I think we got another super chat.
Caffeinated Fiend wants to give us lots of money today. Another 2 Canadian. New names are Buffer and Rubber. You're welcome.
Who's Buffer? You must be, because you're the Superman.
Yeah, but maybe it's like Buffer, like because your internet keeps going out, so it needs the buffer.
Oh, I got you.
So you're Buffer.
Look at that. Look, I'm the top lobster.
You're a rubber lobster.
I own a gun. Look at that. That's awesome. This is awesome, man. She's an amazing artist. Look at this.
Definitely. Top lobster.
This is good.
Okay,
too.
so let's look at the other video.
This is good too. Poofy hair. Hey, Fedora Tipper. Ha ha. What a mop. Poof poof. He really got the expression down, because this looks a lot like genetically modified.
Oh yeah, he really nailed it.
I mean, it definitely, it's very expressive. He looks like, oh, Jordan Peterson's triggering me.
Yep. Nailed it. No, there's no ad homs on this stream. Only the tip top best of.
Why do I have a Nazi band on? I don't like this. I'm just trying to think of when I'm wrong. Look at you. You're gay too. You got the gay.
Because I'm talking about the amazing experience of drugs.
Shrooms.
Exactly. It's perfect. Better than being a Nazi like you with your little red Nazi shorts.
I have my blue shorts on today.
Hey, yeah.
It's almost professional. I didn't get my light on back there, so. All right, what's next?
The college video.
How do we get that in there? Let me see. Here.
I don't know. You do it. You do everything.
There we go.
I'm just here to exist and say annoying things.
Oh, the worst left ones.
And talk about how John Stossel's a terrible human being.
These days, all Americans are told,
ugh. I already hate him. I already hate it. It's terrible.
Go to college.
A higher education is the single best investment.
But a new book, The Case Against Education, says this college push is a big mistake.
How many thousands of hours did you spend in classes studying?
Okay, talking about punchable faces.
I was gonna say, are we gonna light up on this guy or what?
He's got like people say that I'm like a smug asshole in my videos. It's got
peak
smug.
It's got smug written all over it.
Oh man, he's even got like his head jutted forward. It's pretty crazy.
Those eyes are
subjects
implants.
that you never thought about again.
Economist Brian Kaplan says most people who go to college shouldn't. I learned little in college.
Figures he's a social scientist.
I like my friends and...
So he said, in case we missed it, he said, most people that go to college shouldn't go to college.
Right.
That's his thesis statement, I guess. Okay.
Illegal drinking, but...
We live in a world, though, where like college is kind of mandatory.
Right, and they get into that, and that's what's so fucking crazy about this video.
Right.
I slept through lectures. At least tuition then was $2,000. Now it's almost $50,000.
People usually just want to talk about the tuition, which is...
So this is another, like, I don't know, what's the word where you like compare like things that aren't supposed to be compared? Or you talk about how like terrible something is and then you come to like the wrong conclusion.
Right.
Like, because yes, I don't think there's anyone that says that there isn't a problem in America with college costing too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it shouldn't be costing this much because the price has gone crazy.
Right.
So, but then they compare that to like, well, then you just shouldn't go to college. That's the problem. You should just not go to college.
And just die poor. Just get on welfare.
Exactly.
Just like don't succeed.
Yes.
Stay at home. Is that how does this end?
There's one part that's fucking bonkers.
It is a big deal. But there's also all the years that people spend in school when they could have been doing something else. If you just take a look at the faces of the students, it's obvious that they're
Look at those
people are there primarily in order to get a good job.
Because the
even that guy looks like, what do I do now?
So he's like, look at all these bored students in class. It's like, okay, so yeah, those people all working entry-level minimum wage jobs that they could get without a diploma and no education. They're not going to be bored, right? They're going to be at the peak of intellectual, entertainment.
Yeah.
And as he just said, it's to get a job, to get a good job. You have to struggle. You have to work hard and struggle to get a good job.
Why? But people that get these like gender studies degrees and stuff like that, how do they get jobs?
Well, they end up writing terrible blogs.
Okay.
Or becoming teachers of terrible gender studies classes.
But how many gender studies degrees are there, and how many gender studies teachers do they need? If the only job for a gender studies degree is a teacher.
Right, I know. It's a problem. But see, if they were going to talk about that, I wouldn't have a problem with that. They said, oh, there's all these bullshit degrees that don't help you get a job. Like, okay. That's not what they're talking about, though.
Yeah.
Diploma is a signaling device for people with
no more brains than you have, but they have one thing you haven't got, a diploma.
The con man who was the Wizard of Oz hinted at the problem years ago.
Doctor of Thinkology.
Why'd you write this book, The Wizard?
So
I forgot about that. You're the doctor of Thinkology.
He's right that a diploma is a signaling device.
Yes.
And the purpose of it, and it's not a bad thing, even though he paints it like it's a bad thing. It's so, because your employer doesn't have psychic powers and they can't go into your mind and assess what you know. So they have to have something that tells them some vagueness of what you know. And that's what the diploma is supposed to do.
They at least know that you showed up and took the SAT and that you showed up at it's a reliability signal more than anything.
Right.
They know you can finish what you started. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There's a lot of schools that are cheaper than, I think one of the problems is everyone wants to go. Well, I guess if you're going to certain vocations, you're going to have to go to an Ivy League school. Like if you're planning on getting into politics, you're going to have to go to an Ivy League school. Correct?
You elitist.
I mean,
God.
Alex Jones says that they always recruit pedophiles so that they have something on them. So I
the
guess
Skull and Bones
I
Society.
guess if you're not, I guess you don't have to go to an Ivy League school,
Right. If you want to be in the 0.001% elitist in the country, yeah, you probably should go to an Ivy League school.
But
it's probably a requirement.
So much of it is just to be socialized in the Ivy League atmosphere. Because if you're going to be hanging out with people who are powerful, you got to know all the little ins and outs of hanging out with powerful people.
Well,
right?
I don't know if but I don't know if it's so much being socialized. If it's just you need to become friends with people who are going to also be.
Yeah, totally.
You need to meet them and make the connections.
Yeah, and the nepotism takes over, and then pretty soon you're a senator.
Yeah.
Or president even. Look at George Bush took it all the way. George W. Bush.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And as you said, even though, colleges is too much, but I don't think the average state school costs $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's like a higher end school.
Made the argument.
But almost no one seems to believe it.
College graduation has never been more valuable than it is today.
Education is my top priority, and by supporting this budget, you'll make it yours as well.
Meaning taxpayers must pay for it. All the politicians say, go to college. And there is evidence. The higher you go, the more money you make.
It's totally true that when people go and get more and better.
It's totally true. Let's keep that in mind. They agree that if you have a higher degree, you're going to make more money.
It depends on what that degree is, though. I mean, if it's a medical degree, hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what they mean when they say the higher you go.
Right.
I mean, you can't go that high in gender studies.
There's no high in gender studies.
Yeah.
There's PhDs in gender studies. You know they're out there.
Oh God!
They all have blue check marks on Twitter.
There you go. You asked how they make money. They should just teach classes and getting a blue check mark on Twitter.
Meaning taxpayers must pay for it. All the politicians say, go to college. And there is evidence. The higher you go, the more money you make.
It's totally true that when people go and get more and better and fancier degrees, that their income generally goes up. But the reason why this is happening is not really that college is pouring tons of job skills into you. The reason is that it's impressive.
You aren't saying...
What does that mean? He says because it's impressive.
Yeah, it is. I believe him. It's true.
But what does that mean?
Well, it's because if you have a degree from an Ivy League school, they want it's a status thing. They want high status people working with them.
He said the statistics show that that if you have a degree, you get more money, and if you have a higher degree, you're going to probably get more money.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, that's not because they're pouring knowledge into you; it's because it's impressive.
Yeah, it's a status thing.
But so people that doesn't make any sense. Like if you go to medical school, they're not, you have to go through all these years of schooling. They're not saying, well, this is impressive that you've done the thing that everyone else has to fucking do, so we're going to hire you as a doctor.
Yeah.
That's why I don't understand what he's talking about.
Yeah, it would be helpful if they separated out what exact vocations we're talking about here.
Well, I'm assuming he said more, and Stossel just kind of cut him off, because it didn't sound like that was the end of a sentence.
Yeah, they cut these reports up. Stossel's completely putting his finger on the scale here. He's like, they have to walk away from this. We've got to get kids to stop going to college. It really, really the biggest problem is too many college kids drinking all the beer,
getting educations. So terrible.
You, individual, don't go to college. You're saying we as a country are suckers to push it and subsidize it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we kind of cut him off. He's not saying you shouldn't go to college. He's just saying the country shouldn't subsidize it or push it.
Which I kind of agree with.
You agree with the subsidized part, or that the country shouldn't be pushing people to go to college?
I think there are people. First of all, I think people in general don't like to think, just as a rule of thumb. and that
Right.
if you can go to college and on a credit card, it can make you kind of not really think about paying the money back. So you get
Definitely.
then you're in some, I'm going to just take gender studies, I'm going to be an activist, right? Your
Right.
brain's totally off. Well, if
Right.
you're in a situation where, I mean, they shouldn't be giving those people that money, right? Somebody needs to be
Right.
doing the thinking in the system. I think a lot of our societal problems is the fact that you force a lot of that thinking down. I mean, there really has to be a feedback between people and what they can do. I mean, one of the problems with the housing crisis was the fact that they gave money to financially illiterate people, and they drove the price of houses.
The banks did.
Yeah.
Not the government.
Well, the government paid the banks, so I mean, they definitely were.
A little bit
collusion thing going on, and the collusion thing is going on right now in the university system as well, because the university is able to charge these crazy tuitions because people are not paying out of their bank accounts. They're paying with their future earnings. And when you're a kid, you think your future earnings, I'm going to be a bazillionaire. I'm going to be the most famous gender studies PhD in the world.
The Jordan Peterson of gender studies?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be the Jordan Peterson of gender studies. So you don't necessarily think about that stuff.
Yeah.
But
and there's a good point that conservatives make, which is that if the government is subsidizing certain amounts of loans, then a lot of the colleges will just raise the tuition because they know that they can get that set amount.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is a problem.
Yeah, but that's Stossel's point. Stossel says that the market should work it out, and that when government.
Yeah, but okay, but so then the problem is, okay, so the government says, okay, we're going to start giving people money so that they can go to school. So then the private schools, because I don't know if public schools can actually legally do this, the private schools raise the price to just basically cover the amount that they know they can get from the government. So then the conservative idea is, oh, then we should just get rid of the loan in the first place. And then the more liberal centrist idea is, well, wait a minute, doesn't make any sense. The loan is supposed to help them go to school in the first place. So why don't you just make it so they can't just do that? They can't just say, oh, if I'm going to get this amount from the government, then I'm just going to automatically raise my price to fuck you over anyway and defeat the purpose of the loan in the first place.
Yeah. That's the problem. That's the problem of buying stuff on credit.
Yep.
Because it is lucrative for an individual doesn't mean that it's a good idea for a country.
Because when most ever.
And another thing about this is, like, if I agree, because I'm a big guy who's like, part of what Trump said that I actually thought was interesting and would agree with is the idea of bringing back manufacturing to America, which I don't know if that's possible. It's a very complicated economic issue, but I would like it. And part of the reason I'm in favor of that is because I do believe that there's a large amount of people out there who shouldn't have to go to college or don't want to go to college, and people should be able to find
dumb jobs.
What?
Dumb jobs.
Okay, I'm trying to be nice about
it. No, there should be dumb jobs out there for people.
White-collar jobs that pay well.
Yes, totally.
That everyone can do.
Totally.
Okay, like manufacturing stuff. I'm totally in favor of that. But we don't have that. So to tell people not to go to college when we don't have that right now is criminal.
We could open more DMVs. There's never enough DMVs.
Nobody wants to do that job. Nobody wants to do that job. That's just increasing the reach of government. What are you talking about?
Yeah. This is the stuff that Charles Murray talked about in the bell curve.
Right.
There's humanity lives on a spectrum, and that if our institutions are designed for everybody along that spectrum, you get into trouble. But yeah, I guess the problem really is that there aren't jobs for people without a college education these days.
Yeah, and until you address that, you can't tell people not to go to college. Like, the jobs have to be there first.
You don't need a college degree to be like a roofer, though. I guess to be an electrician and stuff like that, there's all kinds of stuff you have to learn.
Well, there's like
trade
vocational
schools. Yeah.
Yeah, trade schools. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not against any of that stuff. But you know what the problem is with being a roofer and all that stuff? All these illegal immigrants coming in our country.
I know. I was going to
jobs.
Why do you think I brought it up? I wanted you to mention that.
Exactly.
I wanted you to say something. I'm sure Stossel has a video on that, guaranteed.
Oh, definitely.
Everyone goes to college.
You want to read the super chat?
No, I don't have the thing open.
Mason Royce, an Australian, I think, $7.99. In Australia, the government pays for tuition and then takes it out of your taxes once you earn over $65K a year. Works pretty well. That's something that I've always thought that income tax should be over a certain amount of money. And if you make less than that amount of money, then you pay zero tax. I guess it is kind of that way already.
It's sort of like that.
Yeah, because they even do tax rebates. But you still pay a ton of, like you pay 10% in sales tax just
right.
Yeah, so.
What do you think about that Australian system, though?
I love it.
It
Sign me up. Australian girls have cute accents, too. It's great.
Don't tell your wife you said that.
I make her do the Australian accent sometimes.
That's going to be the next Felix artwork.
Oh, no, it is.
You forcing your wife to do an Australian accent.
I show her all the artwork, but just so you know, she's not going to see that one.
So is that what she means when she says put another shrimp on the Barbie? She's calling her penis a shrimp.
Oh my goodness. All right, end of convo. Hold on, the stream's dying.
The bar.
Imagine that you're at a concert, everyone is sitting down, and you want to see better. What can you do?
Oh, wait a minute. This is the part that's fucking crazy. Okay? So everyone just prepare yourself.
That just raises the bar.
Imagine that you're at a concert, everyone is sitting down, and you want to see better. What can you do? Well, you can stand up. All right, and of course, then you'll see better. Now, it does not follow, though, that if everyone stands up, everyone sees better.
You just block each other's views. The same thing has happened in education, says Kaplan. As more people got degrees, more employers insisted on degrees.
Okay. That's fucking crazy, right? Like, I'm not... Like, that's like the height of elitism.
Well, no,
he's saying...
The employers didn't insist on degrees. The employers... It's a competition thing. Like, why would you hire someone who has a degree or hire someone who doesn't have a degree over someone who does have a degree? So
Are
all
you
the
saying
employers,
it's the free market?
Yeah, all the employers are. It's supply and demand. It totally is.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's so fucking crazy that he's like, oh, well, the problem isn't that you're getting a degree. The problem is that everyone else is getting a degree. So we just need to have less people getting degrees so that the people that have degrees can get better jobs.
Yeah, exactly. That's those other people.
Crazy.
Shut those other people out. Are you kidding?
What the
once you get up the ladder, you pull the ladder up. Pull the ladder up.
It's like he's supposed to be like Mr. Like I'm for the people. That's like the height of fucking elitism is to say, well, only the smart people should get the degrees, and everyone else just fuck off. Because all the people getting degrees, they're making it harder for me.
Now we know where he got that face, that punchable face.
He's like, remember that guy that bought the medicine, the copyright or the patent for that medicine, and then raised the price like 400%? Scarelli, yeah.
Michael Scarelli?
He had the most punchable face.
Who bought the Wu-Tang album? That guy's the greatest.
Right. You're right. And he had the most punchable face around.
He did a live stream. I caught a live stream on YouTube where he was saying he was going to play the album. And he got the live stream going, but he never played the album. Yeah.
The result isn't that graduates get better jobs. It's that employers require degrees for most every job.
There are so many jobs where...
So as you said, we have John Stossel coming out against the free market.
Yeah, I guess he's kind of throwing the free market under the bus here, isn't he?
The great libertarian John Stossel.
He's not writing this stuff. He's just reading it. He's a news actor. Don't you think?
I'm sure he's writing this.
Do you think he's really writing it?
Well, it's funny because so you're saying that he's like not an intelligent person. He's just some dummy reading a script.
I'm saying he's big. He's huge. He worked for ABC for 100 years, and then he worked for Fox News. He's
okay.
All these people are loaded. That's why they don't work so hard. Like the video that you made debunking the alt-right claim against Jordan Peterson. All those people are making 6 figures a year. They're not going to do that research. They're like, come on.
Oh no, all those people that write those shitty articles for like Vox and whatever, they're not making 6 figures.
You don't think so?
No, I know so.
So the people who are making 6 figures and pay the other people, the little people, to write their articles for them, they're paying those people like $5 an article, right? That's why they're not doing the research. They're like, they're going to Fiverr and they're like, hey, Mother Jones needs an article.
Yeah, see, but that's part of the problem is that their pay probably has nothing to do with research. It has to do with clicks probably.
Oh, exactly.
So they have no incentive to make sure their article is well researched.
This is David Sloan Wilson has this saying, or I used a clip of David Sloan Wilson. He talks about religion and how the mind is evolved to adopt beliefs that aid in survival and reproduction. And he says this, there are very, very powerful belief systems that, they become more useful by becoming less true. And that is journalism right now. Like journalism becomes more lucrative by becoming less true. And that's why people are looking for another sense-making apparatus, because they're more interested in us in filleting our ids than actually giving us the truth.
Right.
French honey badger for $5.
And well, before you read that, and part of the problem with that is because the news industry, at least on television, switched from being like just a non-profit part of a TV station to being for-profit 24/7 cable news.
Yeah.
So suddenly the profit motive destroyed, the information gathering.
Oh my God. I think I just became a liberal. But this is where the liberals actually get it right. Well, this is supposed to be the voice of the liberals is supposed to be for.
But it was the voice of liberals until this stupid identity politics nonsense came up.
Now they're more interested in being nice to trans people on TV than.
Right.
Now they're more interested in getting full representation in Star Wars movies than actually helping working class people. Because a lot of those working class people are white, and we all know, the white people. We know about them.
They're all super privileged. They don't need our help.
Yeah, exactly. French honey badger for $5 says PSA Sitch. Fewer degrees means that...
No. It says PSA stick. I don't know who they're talking to. They're not talking to me.
PSA Stitch. Fewer degrees means that the people who don't need a degree aren't saddled with the debt, and they can pick up experience on the job, which I'm completely in favor of. But the people are going to hire the people who have a degree and are going to pick up experience on the job, just because they're going to do this shorthand. They're going to say the guy with the degree is smarter and will be able to pick up the on-the-job stuff faster.
Right. Well, but first of all, that wasn't whatever the fuck this guy's name is, his point was. Mm-hmm. His point was that all the extra degrees are making it harder for people that do have degrees, which sounds very elitist to me.
You mean the scummy guy in the video?
The guy who we have his face frozen in this very punchable, smug asshole expression.
He looks like he's 15, but he has gray hair. It's really freaking me out.
Oh, you're right. That is kind of weird. But to address your point, it's definitely true that if you don't have a degree, you're not saddled with debt, and that's a fantastic thing. The problem is that I look at it is how many good, high-paying jobs that you can invest your future in can you get without a degree?
I say don't get a job. I mean, that's where I'm at. I'm thinking just go live under a bridge.
If the people, and if Stossel was serious about his point, then he could bring up what French honey badger is saying, and they could show you, like, here's all the jobs that you can succeed in the future and make lots of money in that don't require a degree. But they don't show that, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Vocational schools.
Right. But I want to see like a list.
It is a little bit of elitism. Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people who have parents that can send them to school, they don't exit school with any debt.
Right. And they don't want their kids to be electricians or whatever. You know, they look down on blue-collar jobs.
Exactly.
And see, it's even dumber because you have two fucking people here, two journalists, two elitist New York journalists, okay, who both went to college and have degrees telling you not to go to college.
I know. I was going to say, that guy looks like he's got 10 degrees. Are you kidding me? He looks like he minored in like French or something.
So it's just... It is, or no, he's not a journalist, or he's an economist or something. He's an an economist?
Social scientist.
A liberal social scientist. So it is hypocritical for them to be whining about this, you know.
Stossel might not actually have a degree because
he said he went to college.
He's from the old time when they just all said, it's before the internet, so they just said, oh yeah, I went to college.
He said he went to college in the video though. So maybe he dropped out. I don't know.
He might have dropped out.
He dropped out.
Or it used to be crazy to think that you would need a college degree, like to be a waiter in a fancy restaurant, where now it would be very normal.
Of course, a college...
I don't know about that. That sounds like BS to me.
Citation needed. Also, free market, as you were saying. Free market what?
Yeah.
Education's about more than getting a job. It's also about learning. But Kaplan says if students really wanted to learn, they would just do it.
If you want to go to Princeton, you don't have to apply. Just move to the town and start attending classes.
Nobody...
What? Oh my God. Okay, we just jumped the shark here. We just jumped the shark. How did that make it in this? This thing is 4 minutes long and they use that line? They edit the shit out of this and they use that line? He's like, that's how I got my degree. Look, I printed it out myself. I just asked the teacher to sign after class.
So he just advocated for theft.
Oh, he did.
The great libertarian is advocating for stealing.
Free college.
Just go to the classes. Don't sign up. Just walk in. It's like... He's like, oh, I don't understand why people are going hungry. Just walk to the grocery store, just take some food.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it's all free.
And it's not even feasible what he's saying, because like the only classes that you could walk into like that and no one would notice would be if you go to those introduction classes that have like 100 people in them. But all the mid-level and high-level classes, there's like 20 people or less.
Yeah.
And all the teachers take attendance. They don't care, but they know who's in class.
Yeah. They're going to think. They're going to be like, get rid of the hobo. You're going to get security called on you.
Yeah, they're going to know. They're going to know if you're not supposed to be in there. Okay?
Yeah, don't try this. This is bad advice. The punchable face guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
The punchable face guy who's telling you to steal doesn't know what he's talking about.
We got to look this guy up. I want to know what school he went to. He's like, I went to Princeton. I had 6 hobos sitting right next to me.
His name is Brian Kaplan.
Yes. He wrote this book.
Look it up real quick.
We got to read.
He wrote a book.
We should read a couple of the reviews on the book too. I'm sure they savage them.
He's a professor.
Oh my goodness. Is he a professor at Princeton?
Of economics. At George Mason University.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either. So he's not some...
At Freemason University? Now it all makes sense.
No, here's the kicker. It's a public research university.
Oh no. Think tank.
Yeah.
Think tank.
But it's public, so he's railing on his own situation.
Yeah, I don't know.
He does that.
In people's bones, they realize.
So stop. Wait. Okay,
well, hold on. What do we realize in our bones?
Attending classes.
Nobody does that.
In people's.
Stossel, nobody steals. I don't understand. It's so bad. Why doesn't nobody do that? How would you know if someone was doing that?
Well, they're putting so many of the lectures online now. I mean, I've listened.
Yes.
I've taken dozens of classes by listening to the YouTube lectures.
Right.
Stanford does it. What other? Yale does it.
Yeah, see, actually, that's a good point. Like, you look at all this. There's so many like educational lectures and YouTube channels that are blowing up.
This is why.
So people.
This is why the problem really is just the test taking.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a problem that I'm hoping Jordan Peterson is going to dig in on. Because the problem is that online universities aren't reputable now. But as soon as it's a Yale online degree, I mean, it's got Yale's name on it.
Right.
Right now, all the online degrees are like, I don't know.
But they're aware of that. So they're probably thinking, they have to weigh, like, would it be better for us in the long term to not give legitimacy to online universities so that we can keep making shit tons of money?
Well, yeah, I guess this is the problem. As soon as everybody has a Yale, like all of a sudden you want to be the busboy at the local Bennigan's and you're like, oh, you have to have a Yale degree.
Well, no, I mean, I don't mean like that. I mean, because it will probably still be very expensive. If Yale did have a completely online class, of courses, it would still be expensive.
And
but
really,
it would still give
the
legitimacy.
market, right? And I guess the problem is that we are all competing in this dominance hierarchy.
Right.
And that the dominance, the position that's bestowed on you in the dominance hierarchy has to do with the name on your degree.
Right. But see, they should talk about it like that.
Yeah, it's not. This idea of a meritocracy is bullshit. Big time bullshit.
Well, it's because, as we said, the diploma is a signaling device. That is its purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know how you could structure society around without a signaling device.
Yeah, you need a new sense-making apparatus. You need a new signal.
The problem is that the colleges are just too expensive.
Well, one of the reasons, I mean, them being expensive is part of the signaling device, so you realize that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's definitely true.
You know that the guy that went to Yale is from a well-to-do family.
Or got a really good scholarship.
Right. Yes. So either they're super smart or rich, and either one will do in the current environment.
Sad but true.
I know. This is what the bell curve is actually about.
You mean it's not about racism and having a new Nazi state?
Yeah. They're like, for the 25th anniversary edition, we have the new cover with the white, with the wizard of the KKK on the front. No. It reads like a liberal diatribe to me. But.
Mm-hmm.
Bones, they realize that what really counts is that diploma.
Today, that's a taxpayer subsidized diploma.
See, that's
and when you subsidize,
that's what Stossel's mad about.
And how much, like, I don't know, because what does he mean when he says taxpayer subsidized? Because usually, I mean, you have to pay back your loans.
Yeah, and they fixed it too, so you can't even claim bankruptcy. So when your gender studies degree really turned out to be worthless, you can't even claim bankruptcy.
Right.
There was a time though when they didn't give loans in high risk situations, and now it's just like, take the loan, man.
Yeah, see, that happens all the times in politics. It's like there's some system that seems like a good idea, like, okay, the government's going to give kids loans to go to school, but then it goes goes too far where it's like, okay, so the government's going to give kids loans to get a fucking gender degree. Okay, and then instead of saying, oh, well, why don't we just make it so they can't get the loan for the gender degree, they say, no, we just have to do away with all loans completely.
Yeah. That's the problem with the liberal conservative divide.
Right.
Because those liberals are like, no, 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 we're giving money for gender studies. He's like, you kidding me?
You
They
get all the
extra
money for your dance theater classes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We need art.
Though, see, at least with like the art and the dance theater shit, like at least they weren't bent on destroying society. You know, it's funny. Like Republicans should be nostalgic for like, you know, I remember the days when I just didn't want my tax money going to like some bunch of hippies jumping around on a stage doing nothing.
Right. Now,
At least
they want to bring down society.
Yeah.
Oh.
Something, you get more of it. More students apply to college, so schools raise tuition. Tuition costs.
Okay.
Economics 101.
So again, he's against the free market?
Well, he's saying that the government
Less people need to go to
in,
school.
He's saying that the government is facilitating it the same way that they facilitated the housing crash. I understand what you're saying, that it was the corporations that did the loans, but they only did the loans because the government would buy that loan from them.
That's not true.
No questions asked.
That's not true.
What do you mean?
Fannie Mae, which was Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which was what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Was the government insuring risky loans or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They only had like, I think 13% of the market share of the subprime mortgage loans and the risky loans.
Okay.
So they only had 13%. The rest of that was all private banks. And the reason they didn't care was because then they would sell them to each other and they would bundle them together.
They did a little trading card thing.
Exactly. So I was going to do a video on this. I never did. So it's not
Don't do that
fair.
video. It'll no one cares.
It won't do well, but it's super important because I do think that the housing crash is completely responsible for the entire political situation that exists right now.
Really?
But yeah,
that's some Illuminati shit, man.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean, because when the housing crash came, it shattered everyone's existential worldview of the safe, stable American economy.
Oh, big time. Big time.
But then it got worse because then no one was ever held accountable for it.
Oh, I know.
So then everyone lost their judgment of, oh, we live in a fair system.
Yeah.
And if you look at the political situation, what is it all right now? It's the Republicans saying everything is corrupt, nothing is fair because of the government. And the left is saying everything is corrupt and nothing is fair because of white people.
And the
rich people.
and the corporations.
The corporations.
Yeah. They're blaming everybody but the really responsible party.
Right. Well, they used to blame the responsible party. Like, Occupy Wall Street was right. They were stupid and wrong about what they were doing, but at least they had the right target.
Right.
And then it morphed into this nonsensical blaming white people instead of the banks that were just using you.
Right.
But I completely forgot what we were talking about before that.
The colleges are doing the same thing. Is the college going to become a problem? Are the college loans going to? My thinking is that it's terrible. I mean, this is why people aren't starting families, because they're going to college and when you get out of college and you're $100,000 in debt or $200,000 in debt, whatever it is, like you're not thinking about buying a house or starting a family.
Right.
And by the time you get that debt paid off, it's too late to buy a house and start a family. It's like we're totally screwing over generations. I feel horrible about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. But see, that's the problem. Is it's like yeah, colleges are too expensive.
It's indentured servitude.
Right. But there needs to be a way to fix that problem without just telling people not to go to college. Because that's not the solution that's going to work.
French Honey Badger for $2 says, read Meltdown by Tom Woods for the 2008 crisis. I'll check it out. I read The Big Short, which was a great book.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, what's his name? I can't remember. They made it into a movie.
Uh-oh. I just looked at the Wikipedia for this. The foreword is by Ron Paul, so I'm assuming I'm not going to like this book.
Oh, no. Open mind. You have to be able to change your mind in real time through conversation. So,
Here's the overview. I have my mind open.
Doesn't that but that Sam Harris thing that he says, doesn't that just sound like I just want people to agree with me? Isn't it just
What Sam Harris thing?
Well, Sam Harris is the one that said the big problem in society is that people don't change their mind in real time.
But he's right. Well, as I said, it depends on what he means. It depends on what you mean by change your mind, Sam.
He means he wants them to agree with him. That's
that's
that's all he means.
Interpretation of that. Because I mean, if what he means is we need to remove ourselves from the emotions that we attach our identities to our opinions, I mean, you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't think you should be emotional at all. Definitely.
We should all be Vulcans and robots.
Let's polish this video off.
Okay.
Has risen at triple the rate of inflation. Schools use that money to attract more students and more tax money. Many compete by advertising luxury. They promote things like lobster dinner, fancy pool.
I went to school not that long ago, and it was a nice school. Okay, there were no lobster dinners. Okay, I don't know what school's giving you lobster dinners.
This is Yale, buddy.
Yeah, there you go. So you can blame it the elitist.
I'm reading Jonathan Haidt's new book now, The Coddling of the American Mind. And they talk about this in the book, that universities stopped seeing students as young minds that they're shaping, and they started seeing them as customers.
Right.
And part of the problem is when you're a customer, it's like customer's always right? I don't want Milo Yiannopoulos at my school. Yeah, so.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a huge problem, is that now a lot of the private schools view their students as customers, so they're going to bend over backwards to do bullshit for them.
Yep.
Just to get the money.
Yep.
But so I don't know how to fix that. But I'm sure we could fix it.
We abolished the Department of Education. I knew you'd like that one.
Of course.
We just bulldozed the whole department.
You know, I would like see again if he cared. I mean, of course, he doesn't give a shit about facts, because most people don't give a shit about facts. So he's just trying to be persuasive. Like, I would like to see a chart, of how much money that it goes into debt from students going to college. Like, how much of that is government money and how much of that is just private people's money.
Yeah.
Because if most of that is just private people's own money, then getting rid of government subsidies wouldn't do shit. Wouldn't do anything to fix the problem.
The whole idea, though, is an equity. Oh, I guess equity is the bad word, right? Equality of opportunity situation, because people who are wealthy, they can go to whatever school they want.
Right.
And the idea is that there's government subsidized loans, because if you are a smart kid and your parents aren't well off, you can get a loan to go to school. I think the problem is that they're not, like, if you are, a lot of times kids who aren't well off, like, they don't have any financial sense. They weren't taught financial stuff from their parents, and for some reason they don't teach this stuff in school. It makes absolutely no sense to me at all. But so they're easy targets for these loan sharks who are, giving them a bunch of money to get a gender studies degree. I guess where's the oversight? I mean, that seems like a huge problem. That seems like the root of the problem to me.
But that's not the government doing that. That's wherever they're getting their loan from.
Right. But if the company is giving them a loan and then turning around and selling that loan to the government, which happens all the time now, I think that's potentially a problem.
Yeah, but that's, how much student debt is being sold to the government?
I have no idea. Yeah, we don't know.
But he doesn't tell us. So how should we, how do we know?
Yep.
You have to take his word for it.
Students will come to us and say, this is what sealed the deal. It used to be reading, writing, and arithmetic. And well, we're now the fourth R, recreation.
600 colleges now have rock.
So, it's funny. I was trying to...
Rock climbing.
Oh, yeah. It's true. See, this part of the video is not wrong. It's true that a lot of these schools, because they overcharge, they're like, I know people that have worked at private colleges that are very expensive, and they work in the administration, and they're a lot of bullshit administration positions, very top heavy, and they're just pissing away money on bullshit. And that's part of why the tuition's so high. And yes, they'll buy some very fancy fucking pool like they just showed, or a rock climbing wall. But these are all this doesn't mean you should do away with college. It means you should fix the problem of why these colleges are able to take so much money from the government unfettered without regulation.
Right.
And
John Stossel would say, don't let the government give them any money.
Exactly. Right. Because he's a total ideologue.
But
he doesn't care about the issue. He just doesn't want the government taking his money. That's what he really cares about.
Don't you think the problem, though, is the risk?
The risk of what?
You shouldn't give money. You shouldn't lose money in high-risk situations.
You should.
Like, there are certain degrees that are high risk.
Right.
Those degrees shouldn't be subsidized by government money, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, sure. Because part of the problem with this...
Journalist degrees.
Part of the problem with Stossel's view on this is, if you're looking at the country, imagine you're playing Civilization, Civilization 7, instead of reality. If you're controlling your country and you want your country to do the best, okay, what is the best way to get your technology up and to get your citizens creating and being inventive and creating new things? Because you don't know what specific person is going to come up with the next big invention that's going to change the world. You don't know who the next Steve Jobs or Elon Musk is.
All those people are college dropouts.
Right, but they're still educated. They're still educated, and they still have access to things.
They all have honorary degrees from all.
Is Albert Einstein a college dropout?
I don't know. He works in a patent office. I don't think he went to college. They didn't do college back then.
Okay, so maybe it's a bad example. But my point is that you don't know who's going to be the next person.
I understand that. But I can guarantee you, if they're getting a gender studies degree, it's not going to be.
Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with that. But my point is that the best way for a country, if you're the country, the best way for you to better yourself is to say, okay, well then we're just going to give as many people access to college as possible, because that's the only way to ensure that the right people will move forward.
Correct. Yeah. Unless you're studying gender studies.
Exactly. Unless you're studying gender studies, because you're not helping the country do anything at that point.
And then you don't get to go to college.
You can go. You just got to pay for it yourself.
Okay. Really?
I mean,
maybe we should just make it illegal.
I don't know. I would, because I don't know how much money that the government gets. It's a problem. It's a slippery slope. On one hand, I would say I'm in favor of public schools not being able to, that are getting government funding, not being able to teach bullshit gender studies classes. But it's kind of like, okay, well, who's going to make the distinction of what's bullshit and what's not? Like, I don't trust someone to make that distinction. Yeah, but does that mean you can't have any non-STEM classes in college?
Oh, yeah.
Can you have your left-wing economics classes?
Are we calling gender studies? That's like an art degree, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm just saying it's
about as scientific as an art degree.
Well, no, I'm saying like it's hard to determine what is completely useless. Or not. It's not hard for me to determine that, but I don't trust someone. I'm not the one making the decision. I don't trust someone to make the political decision, because that's what will happen. It'll be completely political on what degrees are allowed and what degrees aren't allowed.
But this is why private companies used to do this, because private companies don't have the banks would do it. They would look and like I didn't get a college loan when I went to school, so I don't know how the banks determine whether or not it's a good investment. I would think if the kid is going to be a dentist, I would think, okay, well, that's a good investment. If the kid is studying psychology, I would say, well, that's a less good investment. If they're studying gender studies, I'd say I'm flushing my money down the toilet.
Right. Well, I wouldn't be against the government and banks doing that, looking at what you're specifically studying,
Right.
and saying we're not going to, as you were saying, they're not going to put money into high risk situations.
Right. But the problem is, as soon as the government gets involved, it becomes a political statement.
Right.
And as soon as, like, no Democrat is going to be able to get reelected if they put the kibosh on funding gender studies degrees. They'd be like, no, you're
Well, they could
out
if
of the Democratic
if they could
Party.
go back to the roots of helping the working class.
Well, it's over. That ship has sailed. You got to be a Republican now to help the working class.
Yes, the Republicans are so helpful of the working class nowadays.
I don't know. I think the Republican Party might step up to the working class.
They might in the future, but they're not doing it right now.
Right. They need to switch. We need to do the part. Who is the Democrat? The Democratic Party is the voice of minorities now. Right.
Right. It seems that way.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Oh, and a nice little fun fact that, you know where that pool was that they were showing?
Where? Yeah.
I was trying to find. I searched. I used my investigation skills and I figured it out. It was, get ready. It was Mizzou.
What?
Yep.
Where's Mizzou?
Remember, that was the lady who was protesting. That was like, get the guy out of here. Can I get some muscle over here?
Oh no way.
That was Mizzou. They have that fucking SJW school has a big fancy elite pool.
Oh, it's all gender studies degrees at that school.
Oh my god. See, I'm surprised he didn't bring that up because that would have been like the perfect little point to like hammer it home.
Well, I'll in my custom edit, I'll throw that in. I'll edit her running around the pool. Somebody throw this asshole in the pool.
Waltz.
Give our Tigers spring break every time they step in to the student recreation complex.
This is a public school. Taxpayers fund that spring break. We also fund years of study in subjects unlikely to help students get jobs, like social justice, gender studies, multicultural studies.
So if you're doing computer science or electrical engineering, then you probably are actually...
So could you have the government say, like, okay, we'll give money to the public school, but the government money can only be used, like, not on making big pools or something? Like, can only be used for classes?
That's I mean, they're a business now. They have to attract. They're in an arms race with other schools, and other schools have the big pool. So I mean, that I guess Evergreen is going under now because of the low enrollment. They destroyed their brand over the whole Brett Weinstein thing.
Oh, I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, so I mean, no swimming pool is gonna help them out of this situation. They're like, I'll be drowning in that swimming pool.
When I was trying to figure out which pool it was, I found a list of the best college pools.
Oh my goodness!
Guess what? And the Mizzou one was number 2. Guess what number 1 was?
What?
It's from a Pensacola Christian college.
Oh my goodness.
So it's not even a public school. It's a fucking Christian private school. It has this insane looking pool.
It's probably... Go ahead. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
And then not only do they have a giant pool that looks like it has like a water slide and like a giant tree in the middle, but they have an ice skating rink, a bowling alley, a miniature golf course, and simulated surfing.
Oh, I wonder if it's even accredited. I have a friend of mine who's in a terrible employment situation now because he got a full scholarship to go to a Christian school that was not accredited. And now he's trying to get his academics in line so he can be an EMT, I think. And basically he has to go back to college because he can't go into any higher education because nobody's accepting his bachelor's degree because the school.
That sucks.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Don't go to Christian schools, kids.
Or at least make sure it's an accredited school. I don't know how this happened. It's so sad.
So the school is the Pensacola Christian College, and they were only accredited in 2013.
Oh, maybe that's the one he went to. Maybe he went in like 2011.
Does he live in Florida?
I'm not sure. No, I don't think so.
It says the school from 1974 to 2011 didn't seek accreditation.
Oh, man.
Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, because it closes off all of your other educational opportunities, because like my university's accredited. So if I wanted to go to any, like say I decide, hey, I want to go to NYU or any Ivy League school or anything like that, you're already started.
Why can these assholes build a 12-lane bowling alley?
I know,
and
exactly.
$1 million surfing simulator? They can't seek accreditation, but they could do that.
Yeah, but these kids, like, what kind of degrees are they getting out of there?
I don't know. It's a non-profit liberal arts college.
Oh my goodness! So they're not.
So liberal arts means sciences too. So.
Oh, it does. Okay, good.
Liberal arts and sciences. But it's a Christian school, so I'm sure it's terrible.
Depends.
Yeah, I know. I'm just joking. I don't want to trigger all the Christians in chat.
Actually learning a bunch of useful skills. But every year we graduate about twice as many psychology bachelor's degrees as we do engineering bachelor's degrees.
Of course, there's value in learning.
Yeah, we don't need psychologists, right? Fuck them.
Well, we're going to need an army of psychologists with the kids we're raising these days.
Psychology, philosophy, literature. Many employers...
Okay. That's really insulting to compare. Like, there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with philosophy or literature. But psychology, you can't compare that to psychology.
No, I totally agree. I was thinking the same thing.
That's really like...
John Stossel just lost me. He lost me there.
That's right. He threw your boy Height under the truck.
Isn't he talking to a social psychologist right now? The punchable guy. Like, I'm serious. He's social science and social psychology are the same thing. I mean,
economists are their own breed. Okay, don't you know that?
Oh, they don't count. They don't count as no. It's a social psychology.
Say they want liberal arts graduates.
It's technology married with liberal arts, married with the humanities, that yields us the result that makes our hearts sing.
It makes us better, wiser people.
See, there you go. It's all the right wing's favorite entrepreneur guy. He's telling you that he wants liberal arts in colleges.
They're throwing Steve Jobs under the bus. That's why they had him in the video.
Right. Well, he's dead, so like it's
yeah, I know.
But you can't assume that works. How many years of people's lives should they be made to study stuff when the odds that they'll ever appreciate it are 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000?
Maybe it makes our brains work better.
It's the kind of thing that you'd expect teachers to say, but there's a whole field of people who have actually studied this. Much as they want to believe that you're right.
Clip. They used the same reaction shot.
Oh, they did they?
Yeah, it seemed like it.
That's funny. But like on one hand, like I agree. Like that, I don't know, the whole idea, like, oh, you're never going to use this information. Like that seems a lot more applicable to like pre-college education.
Yeah.
Because you learn a bunch of like random shit.
Yeah, exactly. Once you're going into higher education, they're only teaching you what you need to know.
Or what like if you're getting a gender study degree, like obviously not. But if you're going to be a doctor, an engineer, or something that you're actually going to use this information for.
I'm skeptical that you need a college degree to work at the restaurant.
Yeah, obviously. But I don't know, like, what's the solution to that, like in high school? Because you want to have people learn a lot of information, even if they're not going to use it, because you just want people to be knowledgeable about, like, the world.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah. Got to teach them all the genders so they know them and all the pronouns that go with the genders.
Exactly.
You make a little song about it, like a little A, B, C, D.
We're not doing that.
The gender,
right?
The gender.
They generally come away after looking at a lot of evidence and saying, "Wow, actually, it's wishful thinking."
Although Kaplan calls.
What did that statistic mean? It just said 45% of students show no significant improvement.
Yeah, I don't know what that meant either. He just threw it in there. But
college
look at this
a
guy.
scam.
Like,
Which guy?
well, he doesn't look very professorly to me. This guy looks like a hired actor to me. I don't know. Now I'm like,
maybe he has. Maybe we're being dicks and talking about like look at the way his posture is. Like either he has bad posture or he has a problem.
He's not a top lobster. Are you kidding me? Look at that. You can't even iron his shirt. And
Well,
not
but
only
it's
that,
not like
that school looks like a bunker. Run, run, kids.
it's not even like his bad posture. Maybe he has a problem and we're being dicks because it's not like he has like beta posture. He just has kind of like weird posture.
Yeah.
Not like see the other guy. The other guy's like, oh, look at me, I'm so alpha. Just leaning back on this wall here.
Totally. That's the gym teacher right there. He's the guy. He's the guy that got the money funded for the pool. He's like, I want this swimming pool. This swimming pool's happening.
He says it's great for a few people. People like him.
I'm a tenured professor. Your audience may not realize how good of a gig this is.
Oh my God. This is horrible.
As he said, he's a tenured professor.
I know. He's
telling
the
you not
guy.
to go to school.
He's the guy that we can't fire. Why isn't Stossel bringing that up?
Exactly. Though, if you're a professor, like, you should not be showing up to school dressed like that.
I know. He's in flip-flops. This is disgusting.
Flip-flops and shorts and oversized t-shirt.
Not only that, the scene beforehand was so obviously staged.
Yeah.
Like,
they weren't talking about anything.
Yeah, the other guy's like, oh, I got to act like I'm, come on, dude. This is uncomfortable.
Right.
But a tenured professor cannot be fired for almost any reason. And you get a nice income and there are almost no demands upon your time.
You just have to teach 5 hours a week.
Goodness.
Well,
that's why they did it. That's why they did it. They wanted to show what a lunatic he could be and not be fired. He's like, look, I can even show up to school in my flip-flops. I'm untouchable here.
Have you seen Waiting for Superman?
I have, yeah.
I fucking hate that movie with a passion.
Why don't you like it?
Because it's so manipulative.
Oh, it is
disgusting.
Oh, it is
Yeah,
manipulative.
and
Yeah.
The whole point of the movie is our education system is bad because we have teachers who can't be fired. That's the only reason our education system is bad.
You think Schindler's List is sad, man? Watch Waiting for Superman. Ugh.
There's like no information in it. It's all just manipulation.
Yeah.
Gross. And I know someone who's a teacher, and it's like you have a teacher go into like an F-rated school, and it's like chaos.
Yeah.
And you say, oh no, the reason that the schools are failing is because the teacher. Like, what is the teacher supposed to do when they go into class on their first day and there's like 30 kids in there and 10 of them are beating the shit out of each other?
Yeah. The problem is not the teachers. The problem is there's a crisis of authority really in our society, which is one of the reasons why I think people elected Donald Trump, because they want someone that's going to put things in line. You see that. Yeah. You see that. You need to be able to wail on the kids. Like you used to be able to hit them. Now you can't. Now you can't do any of that stuff.
You know, I would actually love to see statistics on like when the quote unquote decline of schools happened.
When I went to school, they had the paddle. You remember the paddle?
You were a little bit older than me.
Yeah. Well, I'm 10 years older than you. When I went to school, man, they had a paddle they brought out. They were like, here's the paddle. Like,
there was no paddle when I went to school.
Yeah. I went to a Catholic school for 2 years.
Okay.
And they had this paddle, and they drill holes in the paddle.
Mm-hmm.
And there are I've heard two different stories about why the holes are in the paddle. And I think
more aerodynamic.
Yeah, I honestly think both of them are bullshit, but it's pretty hilarious because the whole idea of the paddle is just it's the same thing with nuclear weapons, right? You don't want to use them. You have them there as the credible threat.
Right.
Like the paddle is the credible threat. You have the paddle, and yeah, they would say aerodynamics. The holes are for aerodynamics. And also one teacher said that it was like to grab onto your butt. Like that little hole, like a little piece of your butt would get stuck in there. And it would just, which seemed logical when I was, you know, 10 years old or however old I was when the paddle came out, but the paddle worked. But
that's why I said I want to see some. I want to see some numbers on the paddle.
The paddle is gone now. The attorneys, I think, are what destroyed the school.
Well, yeah, but we're guessing. We don't know if that's true.
People don't get paddled in school anymore.
No, but I mean, we don't know if like the decline of schools started when they got rid of corporal punishment.
First, they got rid of prayer.
Okay. Okay.
I don't even know. I think they got rid of prayer first and then corporal punishment.
There you go. We need to bring. That's what's causing the decline of schools. We need to bring back Jesus.
Well, a credible threat. I'm telling you, that Moses statue would go a long way. Seriously.
That's what hell is. The ultimate credible threat.
People think God is a like religion isn't a failed science. Religion is a successful
social control.
Control, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Gotta have that cop on the beat, man.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you turn down free police force?
Well, the problem is when the police force says that we're gonna start killing people for being gay.
Oh, I guess that is problem. That is.
Yeah, I guess that
is trouble.
I guess, yeah.
That is trouble. Yeah, I agree.
People consider that a horrible burden.
That's a scam that we're paying so much money for people like you to teach 5 hours.
Yeah, well, I'm a whistleblower.
The bottom line of the case
that guy
against
is not
education?
a whistleblower.
Taxpayers ought to know that they're getting ripped.
No.
Any instructor that gets they try to keep as many of the teachers part-time, so they pay them squat. I have a couple friends that are teachers. They don't get paid. Nobody's getting rich.
Are they tenured professors?
Yeah, see, this guy had something. This guy did
something.
Also,
yeah, he's tenured and he's like an author, and I'm sure he's like a somewhat reasonably well-known person. So I'm sure he gets more than the average person does.
We're gonna have to look up some YouTube videos on this Brian Kaplan guy.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. If I am wrong, then they should definitely change it. But I don't think the average tenured professor just sitting on their fucking thumbs all day, jacking off.
5 hours a day. I know.
5 hours a day.
A whistleblower. This guy is like, John Stossel, oh my God, he was on ABC's on Fox News. I'm going to be famous. This is going to be great. I think John Stossel's working this guy.
Oh, he wrote a book about it, so he's just hawking his book.
Ripped off. Government has made a tremendous effort to make education accessible to everyone. And I say really what we need to do is to go back to a world where college is not so accessible, where it really distinguishes.
Where only the rich people can go.
Do I even have to say anything?
I know.
It's like, Jesus.
Pushes you, and in this way, people are going to be able to start their lives years earlier. The wisest solution, all things considered, would be if government just got out.
It would be good if government got.
You can start your life years earlier in a dead-end job where you can't move up.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Got out of a lot of things.
This is the problem, that this is all motivated reasoning.
It is big time.
It's all, we want government out of as many things as possible, so.
Yeah, they start with the assumption government can do nothing good. Right, and then then they look for every place. It's good though that they find places where government is messing up. I mean, we have to.
Yeah, definitely. It's stupid to assume the government is doing everything right.
Yeah, I think that the government does most things incorrectly.
I would think the larger an organization becomes, it's going to do more and more things wrong, just because of the sheer size of it.
But don't you think, like in a corporate type situation?
Well, I mean any organization. I mean government.
Yeah, in any institution.
Yeah, any institution.
So in any institution, isn't the institution culture the most important thing? Aren't institutions really competing on culture, because you want to get the people that are going to make good decisions. Everyone in an institution is a decision maker, or if they're not a decision maker, somebody above them has made all the decisions for them.
Right.
Like that's where McDonald's just blows because they systemize everything. So like a person can jump into that job where they make I mean, it's difficult for me to imagine that they don't make any decisions, right? I mean, it seems like any job has some kind of decision.
Yeah.
In the book, I believe this is in the bell curve. He talks about IQ and he lays out a thought experiment about a busboy and how even at the lowest level jobs, a higher IQ will be able to do it better. And he's like, imagine a busboy with this IQ and imagine a busboy with this IQ. And one guy is like thinking about, he's like 10 steps ahead.
Right.
Like people by their very nature want to make their job easier. I read this other book that a lot of the innovations that we have come out of the fact that people are lazy, that people literally like, I'm sick of doing this job. Here, let me think of a way so I can do.
That's everything.
Yeah, totally. Pretty soon our whole world is going to be automated.
It's going to be like we're all going to be the fat people in chairs in WALL-E.
I love that movie. That movie plays with your heartstrings.
But in a good way.
So I'm still conflicted on John Stossel, but mostly because I don't want to be a flip-flopper.
I convinced you, or rather, watching the videos convinced you.
There's the one that we argued about. We don't have.
What was the one that we argued?
We argued about one last week, and I can't remember which one it was.
We didn't watch anything about Stossel last week.
These young people say Jordan Peterson should not be allowed to speak on.
Wait a minute. What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Well, we got like 20 more minutes.
Okay, well, wait. Okay, but before we do, I looked up the Kaplan guy. He was on Rubin Report.
No way.
Yes.
Well, Rubin asked him some hard-hitting questions.
So I'm looking at the name of the interview. It's Brian Kaplan and Dave Rubin, Anarcho-Capitalism, Economics, and Immigration.
Oh, God.
So is this guy an anarcho-capitalist, or is that what they talked about? Because that would definitely change things significantly.
He wants to... Anarcho-capitalists are the ones that want to get rid of the government, right? They have the non-aggression principle and all that.
All that nonsense, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the video that you want to talk about last week?
It was about the generators. It was about the price gouging. Look up Stossel price gouging.
Because the thing with the Jordan Peterson video is that it's not going to be interesting to watch. Cause it's just, okay, we agree with everything Jordan Peterson said.
Yeah. Stossel price. Oh, look, came up. Nice.
Is price gouging evil? Everyone agrees that if a seller greedily doubles prices after, say, a hurricane, that's not only bad, it's immoral. People say that when gas prices are raised.
And they're taking advantage of us. I think we're being ripped off.
We are being hosed here, and the oil fat cats are lapping up the dollar.
Gouging at its best.
But what exactly is gouging? People say it's raising prices too much, but who exactly gets to decide what's too much?
For people to take advantage of those in need.
Why Sitch gets to decide.
He violates every biblical standard of morals that I'm aware of.
Mississippi's Attorney General announced a crackdown on gougers after Hurricane Katrina.
Massive destruction everywhere.
One gouger who was arrested was John Shepperson. He and his family live in Kentucky. They watched news reports about Katrina and learned people desperately needed things.
My wife just got out of the hospital, and she's very sick, and we need a generator.
John thought he could help and make some money too, so he bought 19 generators, and he and his family then rented a U-Haul and drove it 600 miles to this part of Mississippi, which had no power at the time.
5 million people in this region are without power.
John offered to sell his generators for twice what he'd paid for them, and people were eager to buy.
People were excited. We had a product they needed.
But instead, police confiscated his generators. and John was locked up in this jail for price gouging.
Sitch?
But we talked about this last time.
I know.
We said there needs to be a difference between people coming into a situation where there's no resource, with an extra resource that wouldn't exist there otherwise, versus taking all the resources in the region that already exist and then hoarding them.
Right. Ooh, hoarding should be illegal. That's what we should go after. The hoarders.
So did you sent Benjamin a link to the stream?
What's that?
You sent Benjamin Boyce a link to the stream?
I didn't know.
Did you?
I didn't know. Is he tweeting at you?
He is.
Yes, send him a link. Do it up.
Okay. Where's
I invited him, but it sounded like he didn't want to come. So.
Okay, well, I'll say if you want to come, Benjamin, you're.
Yeah, totally... yeah. Is he in the chat?
I don't know.
Benjamin Boyce, do you watch his stuff?
Yeah.
He was at Evergreen. Crazy, huh?
I know.
They tried to drown him in the swimming pool, in that big swimming pool we just watched in the video. No, now I'm making stuff up. I shouldn't make stuff up while you're like not paying attention.
Could you imagine if Evergreen had that giant fucking pool?
What's up, Ben?
Hey guys, how you doing?
We can't. What's up? I can see you, but they can't see you on the stream. So.
Okay, so I'm safe.
Yes, you are.
Turn off my studio light.
Oh, we need to give you. I'm going to DM you the link of the watch room.
Yeah, do that. We're watching John Stossel videos.
Okay.
Have you been watching the stream?
Yeah, I jumped on about 20 minutes ago or something.
So what are your feelings on Stossel?
I don't know. He's got a nice bushy mustache, which, is comforting in a way.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I consent to that. I wouldn't mind combing it for him, but I don't know. I don't know enough about him to know if he's full of hot air or if he's just a good speaker.
I think he's full of shit.
Well, I mean, aren't we all full of shit? That's kind of how this works, right? No. Well, okay.
Me,
present
Adam,
company
and you
excluded.
Yeah, the three of us are like the arbiters of wisdom and truth of reality. And everyone else is full of shit.
We're the new sense-making apparatus. Are you kidding me?
Oh, wow.
We're gunning
scary.
for the job.
We're the new intellectual dark web.
Oh, can we be like the double dark web or like the I
don't know. That'd be awesome.
And I did have a thought about what you guys were thinking about or saying about gender studies and money going into gender studies from the government to gender studies, and whether or not we should have some sort of, I don't know, if corporate or business oversight on what career, which study you take is actually financially viable. And I think that the social justice movement has already taken care of that by ensuring that it is financially viable to get a gender studies degree, because now corporations and government and a bunch of different huge entities are, making a room specifically tailored, making jobs specifically tailored for that skill set.
That's a good point. I forgot about that. There's all these people who can sell diversity training to big businesses.
Yep. No, and plus like equity and diversity vice presidents and all colleges, and then in corporations you'll have positions, vice president positions that are specifically tailored to teaching a very specific ideological mastery, I guess. So if you want to evaluate the market value of a degree, that is one way to get around it. If you want to evaluate the human benefit of degree, then you'd have to look at the method of the degree, whether it's an ideological method or if it is actually based on some sort of like critical thinking quality, right? And so you'd have to evaluate it by terms of the methodology within the study.
That's kind of terrifying.
What do you mean?
Well, just all these positions opening up for gender studies type degrees. All those positions terrify me.
Well, it's been in the works for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's not
what's
like
the solution?
we can't
What do we
stop
do?
it now. Well, I don't know. We watch while a bunch of people who are slightly, I don't want to say on the autistic spectrum, but what I've seen is over and over again, people who put low stock in emotional intelligence and social intelligence are getting pushed out of jobs. That's what I've seen a lot. And with a lot of the sciences or a lot of the STEM people in academia, what we're going to have is a brain drain from very powerful critical thinkers who are going to end up in another institution. So either we need to systematically disprove the worth of this equity and inclusion stuff. And the only way to do that is to actually deeply study it and see what's right about it, and then throw out everything else and kind of keep the same sort of terminology while defanging it. Or just build better institutions that don't have that in it. But that's a huge project.
Yeah, but how can I frame what you just said in a way that makes it so that it justifies me removing government funding from things I don't like?
Like NPR?
Yeah, exactly. Or the colleges.
Or specific colleges?
Yeah, because that's what Stossel's whole point is. He's looking at what you're looking at and saying, I see everything that you're saying, and it's terrible, and it's the government's fault.
Oh, yeah, but you're going to have to use the government to get the government out of the government. And so you're going to need to embed people into the government, and that would take a whole army, a slew of people who believe the same thing, going after it systematically and with a high ability to enlist the favor of the public behind them.
That's what Trump is doing. What are you talking about?
Is he really doing that?
He's going to build a wall to cage all the liberal colleges away from the rest of America.
Well, I guess they're kind of, no. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Trump's got some weaknesses, though.
Some weakness, just some.
He's got a few. I mean, probably like 9 out of 10 things,
He's got to focus on getting reelected. He's got his priorities straight.
Is that what he's working on? Is there already like some tremors of his reelection campaign?
I'm certain.
Well, Adam was saying he's working on getting his kids elected. So he's really looking into the future.
Yeah. Nepotism. That's the way to do it. Well, yeah, that's the other thing. You just you outbreed the SJWs.
So you're advocating not for a white ethno state, but for a non-SJW ideological state. You gotta find a good non-SJW and just pump a bunch of babies out.
It's possible. I mean, it's worked for several generations of my ilk.
So, Ben, do you have a position on price gouging?
Oh, I just caught something about some guy like shipping refrigerators from one place to another.
There was a hurricane in Mississippi that took out the power, and people needed generators. So this guy
it was called Hurricane Katrina. Maybe you heard of it.
We're going back in time.
It was a tiny little thing.
Back when George Bush didn't care about black people.
So he decided he was going to buy 19 generators. He bought 19 generators. Probably bought them on credit, whatever. He's an entrepreneur. I don't know if it said he bought them on credit. I'm just making the story more interesting.
Yes.
So he bought 19 generators, took out a second mortgage on his house, got a U-Haul.
You're embellishing the story now.
Got a U-Haul, liquidated his kids' college fund, bought a U-Haul, went to the affected area. He didn't just fly over; he drove in.
Getting arrested.
Authorities held him 4 days, and his.
That's funny.
He dropped him in like helicopter style.
No, he
with a price tag on it. And
he U-Hauled the Kentucky generators to Mississippi, and he sold them for twice the price.
And
twice the price as the generators that were being sold in Mississippi, or
twice the price that he paid for them.
Yeah.
Okay. But relative to Mississippi, were they?
That's a good point.
Twice the price.
Stossel doesn't tell us.
They were probably 5 times the price, man. Mississippi's the poorest state in the nation. They're probably 5 times as much. He bought good Kentucky generators that worked.
Do they run on Jim Beam or something?
Yeah, exactly.
So Oh, that's a good. Yeah, what are they going to put in those generators? Yeah, that's a good point, man.
Well, they don't have any electricity. No,
you can't plug the generator in the wall.
No, you put the gasoline or the Jim Beam into the generator, and then you plug your cell phone into the generator.
But we don't know if they had gasoline or not, so.
That's true. It was also merged, right?
So I'm assuming the people that bought the generators had access to gasoline, because otherwise you wouldn't buy the generator.
So they confiscated his generators and threw the guy in jail for price gouging.
For how long?
They didn't tell us.
Okay.
Generators
and what's
still
Stossel's opinion of this?
What's my opinion?
Stossel?
Stossel's opinion is it's going to be good capitalism. That's his opinion.
Right.
Okay. So he's for price gouging.
I think I'm for price gouging too. I'm trying to keep an open mind here.
Well, gouging is
I just like gouging in general. It just has a good sound to it. It's like gouging.
What kind of tool do you use to gouge?
Gouge Away by the Pixies is one of my favorite songs. Are you kidding?
You gouge people's eyes out so you can use your fingers.
You put your generator sign out and you're like 5 times. Gouge away. You can gouge away. Come on, it's great. It's the American way. Stossel knows what's up.
Wonder Bar. Is this contentious? So you're saying that I don't know. Like, I think it's context dependent whether it's gouging or not. Like, you'd have to calculate if that's gouging or not, because he might be providing a service that's very valuable, but if the people can't afford to, like those payday loan things,
right?
Those are pretty gougy.
Yeah, I'm not supporting payday loans here. I'm saying.
Well, wait a minute. Okay, so my position is that if he's bringing in resources from another location that people don't have access to, then it's okay for him to charge whatever he wants. But if he's buying up all the resources in an area that people do have access to and then charging extra, that should be illegal.
Good point.
But I think John Stossel will come out and say that the resources in the area the stores should be able to price gouge as well.
What's the justification for that?
Well, the justification is that somebody is going to come in and buy up all the water, and they're going to be price gouging down the road. So what you really want is the store just to set the price so the resources are equally distributed in the environment, in the area.
Except if the law prevents them from price gouging, then if they do that, they'll get arrested.
Yeah, see, that's
like
why
this guy did.
That's why he's saying price gouging should be made legal. Only we need a better name for it. Obviously, we can't call it price gouging. People will hate our guts.
It's context dependent. In the case of an emergency,
yeah,
like the value of a generator goes up. Like, is a generator an absolute necessity? Yeah, if you're living on, like, if you need dialysis or whatever, if you need, like, if it's life saving,
you need heat or something.
Yeah, you need heat or something like that. Or water for sure shouldn't be price gouged. Like stuff. So we need to, like, draw a line in the sand and, like, what's essential, what's not essential. And then also, especially in the case of an emergency, I could see a case for government interaction with that. But when it's not an emergency, then the market should be able to have a little bit more flexibility.
Well, you wouldn't be able to gouge at the market if the thing is that it's a catastrophe area. I mean, and I think alternative pricing is a good name for it. I like alternative pricing. Are you guys on board?
No, up pricing.
Alternative pricing.
Like alternative facts. It's alternative pricing.
No. This is not. No.
Well, let's see what Stossel says. So we'll figure it out from there.
He's custody.
And then nobody got any use out of them. They were useless.
So did the public benefit? The real question is, what's the best way to deal with shortages after a disaster?
Anybody, what do we need? Come on, guys. Generators. Food.
Anytime there's a natural disaster, a hurricane, the price of things that people desperately want to have, batteries, flashlights, generators, water, milk, they go up or they disappear.
Economist Russ Roberts points out that after the disaster, if sellers don't raise prices, supplies vanish. Anxious buyers line up and often buy more than they need just in case.
Yeah.
Those not at the front of the line may get nothing.
More people want to buy it than there is stuff available.
So do you see the problem? People instantly go into hoarding mode. So if they raise the price,
because they want a price gouge.
Well, they would rather
maybe
have the
not.
resources than
Right.
Yeah. So if you make the bottle of water $30 a bottle, then people can't go in and buy. Well, I think $30 is fair. What do you want to go higher?
Yeah, for 8 ounces of water. Yeah, but okay. The problem is you need to make. How do you make the distinction between how much is raising the price to prevent people from hoarding and how much is raising the price just because you want to fuck people over?
Oh, now you're talking about intent.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to go there.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying from the government who's trying to legislate this.
I mean, Walmart still wants to sell water even though it's a hurricane. Come on. They can't set the price so that no water is sold. That's why I was saying that Walmart is the one that should decide because they're the ones that know what people will pay for water in a hurricane.
As long as Walmart has a competitor. I'm serious, like a water competitor, like Nestle comes in, and like fights with Walmart over like, because what's going to regulate Walmart? Because what's going to regulate Walmart is their sworn duty to maximize profit.
No,
which is going to end up getting out of control.
In every single store in the affected area is going to be raising their water prices. They're probably going to be communicating quickly about. Like, I'm going to go 30 a bottle. What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, but I want to see some evidence. I want to see some numbers that you have a bunch of stores not raising their prices on water. And that's causing a bunch of people to run in there and hoard the water. And then like people don't get the resources they need.
I dimly recall that happening during the gas prices.
You don't think people will do that? People hoard that water up.
I think people will do that. I'm saying, but I want to see some numbers that show that that's having a detrimental effect.
Sitch, I think, is turning here. Sitch is going pro alternative pricing. I can feel it.
He's always pro stat.
I'm against price. I've been against price gouging from the beginning.
No, it's alternative pricing now. Please use the proper terminology.
And there's a way to solve this problem too without
Please use
price
the proper
gouging.
terminology. Please use the proper terminology.
The store can limit how much you buy.
Oh,
that's a
my
good point.
Goodness.
Which, but how do they limit? By body weight?
No, like
is there like a blood test to see how dehydrated you are?
Exactly. No, like perfect example. Okay, I live in an area that they have hurricanes, and they did have a problem when there was a massive hurricane like 20 years ago with price gouging. So now price gouging is illegal because of that.
It's legal or illegal?
Illegal.
Oh, okay.
Illegal. Okay. So now whenever there's a hurricane and people start, as you're saying, everyone runs the store and they buy water and all this shit. Yeah. If it looks like it's going to get bad and stores are running out of supplies, they'll say you can only buy like 1 case of water per store.
Mm.
So that's a solution to what he's talking about without price gouging.
And how are the prices affected? They do go
They're
up
not.
some?
They're exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah. They're not allowed to raise the prices.
Doesn't feel entrepreneurial to me, though. It really doesn't.
It's not. You're right. Sometimes there's more important things in life than entrepreneurial shit.
Well, no, it is entrepreneurial because the stores who have thought ahead, who have like a network of getting water into the area, will be able to always have water on hand because they thought ahead.
Not if they would think more ahead, though. If they could sell that water for $20 a bottle, they would never run out.
They wouldn't need to.
Oh, maybe
waste
you're
all the time
right.
in
Maybe you're
management.
right. Maybe you're right.
See, Benjamin knows what's up. He needs to be on here more.
Maybe you're right.
Counteract your price gouging bullshit.
Alternative pricing.
I agree with
alternative tax.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that point.
Come on, Stossel has some points left.
How do you solve that problem? How do you find out who should get those scarce items?
A major energy crisis.
Oh my God!
During the last energy crisis, the politician's solution was to cap prices, but that didn't fix the problem. It made it worse.
It was a disaster. It led to long lines, and you couldn't get gasoline.
That's why today's high oil profits, says Roberts, are a good thing, because they're a huge incentive to oil companies to look for more oil.
You want them to make these?
I don't know.
To create more pollution.
So isn't it? It's not fair. Wait a minute. he's comparing price gouging in like in a temporary emergency situation because of a hurricane to when OPEC for political reasons decided to try to screw us over. Like, you can't compare those two circumstances.
Why not? I mean, you can.
They're completely different situations.
Yeah, but you still have a limited resource that needs to be distributed. I mean, it's a bottleneck of resources. Same thing,
right?
Basically. I mean, who cares what the reason is?
When there's a disaster area, like in Katrina, there might not be a bottleneck of resources. I mean, there could be resources. It's just they know that people are desperate, so they're raising the price.
Right.
Different situation.
And the thing is, I don't know that much about the oil crisis back then, but it could have been engineered. I mean, that was a political game.
No, it was engineered. It totally was engineered.
It was engineered.
Yeah.
Whereas a hurricane, well, I mean, aside from global warming, if we're going to get into that, that's not engineered. That's something that we see coming. It's going to happen. I don't know. Like there might be a slight difference in that because it's political rather than natural. I don't know if that changes the area.
The OPEC thing was a problem with supply, and if there's a hurricane, you can have a problem with supply, but not necessarily.
Especially if you have the infrastructure already in place to get water wherever you need to.
Right.
To the point where the hurricane hits.
Right.
None of us cared about. Americans didn't care about the Middle East until the OPEC scandal.
Really?
Yeah, totally. I
don't know.
I read a book, the history of the greater Middle East or something like that. Yeah, and it goes through our whole involvement in the Middle East, and it all began with that OPEC embargo, I guess they called it, where all the OPEC nations decided they weren't going to sell any oil to the United States, and it created these long gas lines. And they had you could only buy gas on certain days of the week. Is a huge fiasco, and our United States government said, never again. We're going to own that Middle East.
Well, didn't we kind of inherit some of the responsibility, and I use that term very loosely, for the Middle East after World War II, when we kind of scooped up the British Empire? We started getting more involved, and plus Israel, we were pretty involved in that.
The government was involved.
Okay, but not the American people. Okay.
Right. Because that's why OPEC was fucking us in the first place, wasn't it? It was over support of Israel.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's true. Yep.
It's always the Jews. So actually, it's funny because you could say that whenever the Middle East complains about us bombing them, you say, hey, if you hadn't fucked us with OPEC 30 years ago, we wouldn't be doing this. It's actually your fault.
Unfortunately, the American public doesn't have that long of a memory.
Right.
So we never bring up OPEC.
Well, they're all getting gender studies degrees, so that's...
Huh. Well, you think the supply of pussy is going to be imminently, embargoed by this gender study thing, and so there'll be some price gouging with regards to that at some point?
Alternative pricing. I'm not going to say
Can we call it maybe stash
gouging?
Vagina? Mustache gouging, maybe, in honor of Stossel.
No, now Saudi Arabia is our friend, so they're doing the opposite of price gouging for our benefit.
What's the opposite of price gouging?
They're flooding the market. That's why gas is so cheap right now.
Huh.
So part of that, it's interesting because as he just said, gas price raising is good because it incentivizes companies to find alternative fuel sources, which is fracking in America. And part of the reason that Saudi Arabia lowered the price of their oil was because it hurts the fracking industry in America. Because I believe they need oil to be over like $100 a barrel or some amount to be like as profitable as they want it to be. So they're trying to fuck us over, but also help us at the same time. It's weird.
Well, help us to their own benefit.
Help the average American citizen who's just buying gas.
America's War for the Greater Middle East, A Military History is the book. It's Andrew Brockovich. Yeah, that's a good book.
Okay.
Monster profits?
I do. Higher prices are hard on consumers. Hard on consumers today, good for consumers tomorrow when those high prices give energy companies the incentive to go discover and refine more energy in the future.
Which is why what the politicians...
I mean, do oil companies really need incentive to go find more oil?
If they're forward thinking, no.
Like, I have Exxon stock. That shit's been going up forever. Like,
They don't need incentives. Incentives don't work anyway. People should just do whatever they feel like. I mean, it's all just theoretical.
Right.
The incentive, that guy bought 19 generators, rented a U-Haul, and got in a truck. Incentives work.
It's a speculation. It's a bet. It's not just a theory, but it's a theory that you pony up for.
Right, but to me, the idea that an energy company that's a billion-dollar energy company doesn't need extra incentives to go keep doing what it's doing.
Are you arguing for restraints on?
I'm saying the idea that we need high gas prices to incentivize energy companies is ridiculous. Actually, it would be the opposite. The high gas prices incentivize people finding alternative sources of energy.
Yeah, it de-incentivizes that.
Right.
Yeah,
which I don't know.
I'm sure they did the calculation that there's a sweet spot of the highest price that they can go without incentivizing alternative push for alternative sources.
I'm
sure they hedged their bets.
We just need a bureaucrat to set that price, and we're good.
Good. Now I know you don't believe that.
That's absurd. It's absurd. Prove it. I mean,
there's me.
I don't know what Mr. Stossel is thinking.
Okay, you probably won't believe me or economist Roberts, but would you believe 3 Nobel Prize-winning economists, all of whom say gouging is good and the best way to get supplies to people who need them most?
Fairest and best way.
3 Nobel economists who all got college degrees.
One of those is your favorite, Milton Friedman. I know he probably triggered over that. This guy looks like the Crypt Keeper, man.
Which one? Oh, the guy on screen?
The economist, I don't know.
Way to do that.
And that's a good thing. The gougers deserve a medal.
Because the higher prices bring in the goods that people
You don't even know.
need.
Like, these guys deserve a medal. He could have been... Who knows who he's talking about? He's like, that cake my wife cooked the other night. She should have got a medal.
Well, it does bring up a serious point, though, that these guys, all 3 of these guys, are really old. So they were dealing in their prime with a completely different economy.
Know.
Right.
Yeah.
But we don't even hear what their reasoning is. It just cuts away.
If we don't let the price rise, there aren't going to be enough generators to go around. If we let the price rise, we give people an incentive to bring them in.
Somebody needs to bring these products to people when there are disasters.
See, this is why I hate Stossel, because he always... He's so sneaky. He tries to frame everything like, oh no, it's really good to do the horrible thing, the horrible conservative thing that I'm trying to push.
The predatory thing, yeah.
Right.
Predatory.
There's emergencies, and this is going to be one person that's not going to be there that they.
You think this
guy does he look like a predator to you? Like he's going in there?
Does he look like a great capitalist entrepreneur?
You guys make it sound like he's hunting people. Jeez. I thought I would organize a hunting party. I was charging them $500 for me to take them in there on the hunting.
The most lucrative game.
They took out of the equation.
Economists we talk to say he's a hero. You're the one who's immoral for saying he can't sell generators to people who want willingly to pay for them.
Look, my job is to enforce the law. Our laws state that you cannot increase your profits once a state of emergency has been declared.
People want to live in a world where love is what motivates people to help others, and love does that. But there isn't enough love to go around. Love for strangers isn't going to motivate enough people to get in their truck.
You don't think there's enough love to go around?
Yeah, you guys. He's talking to you guys. And I'm trying to figure out what happened to Matthew McConaughey, man. That guy sounds exactly like...
No, he doesn't sound like... Oh, I guess he does a little bit.
I'm just trying to enforce the law here.
Load them up with generators and take them down to help people who are cold and hungry.
There was love.
Yeah, someone trying to make money. Oh, they're helping. They're such a kind soul. Like, they're just trying to make money, which isn't bad. But like, let's not paint it like what it isn't.
Isn't there a line though between making money and what we can decide is predatory or gouging behavior? There's got to be a line in there where you start to actually hurt people in the guise of helping.
He brought him a generator. How can you say
okay, he
he's
did bring
hurting
them. Okay,
people?
no, I'm just saying, yeah. I don't know if the guy deserved to go to prison.
He drove across country to bring him a generator.
That's true. That's true.
Right. But as you friended will admit that there's a difference, right, between bringing resources from another area and gouging on the resources that already exist in the area.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I know it's counterintuitive, and I'm with you guys. Obviously, I don't want people who need a generator to go without a generator because some fat cat, buys up all the generators. Oh, 19 generators. Perfect. Just what I needed. Let me write you a check. But that guy would say, he would be like, if one guy showed up and was buying all 19 of his generators, he'd say, listen, the price just tripled. Because he wants other generators to go out, and he would sell a generator for as much as he could get them. I don't know. It seems like
Caffeinated Fiend said that he only went to jail for 4 days.
Oh, okay. Is that jail gouging?
I think it is.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
I mean, we don't even know if he got raped or not.
What about all the private jails that are price gouging the government?
What does Stossel have to say about private prison?
Oh,
I'm
my
sure he's in
God.
favor.
We do not want to watch those
really?
videos. I'll be super triggered over private prisons.
Is that your trigger word?
Well, the prisons is particularly scary for me because the profiteering off of, I mean, it used to be about rehabilitation. Like, if the profit motive is involved, then all of a sudden, is it about rehabilitation anymore, or is it about locking people up for as long as you...
Okay, you say they used to be about rehabilitation, and that was probably a very slim moment in history.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe you're right.
But it's true, there's a difference between, even if they weren't, focused on rehabilitation, they weren't focused on keeping you there for as long as possible to get money.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about the incentives? So you apply the capitalistic principle of incentivization onto something such as human conduct and regulating human conduct and then imprisoning humans. Then what does that do to our laws? What does that do to our law enforcement? And then what does that do to, even the parole boards? Are they in the pocket of the prison system?
News. It's bad news. It's totally bad news, because then the prisoner becomes the product, and that's bad news. That's slavery. It's totally slavery. It's the same thing. I mean, but it really depends upon what Stossel thinks. If Stossel's on board, then we're having a conversation then.
Mr. Stashel.
Milkman Dan said, "Lay off Stossel, Sitch. He's just alternative morals."
Don't you realize all morals are alternative morals? Okay.
Alternative to what?
Yeah.
To the other morals, obviously.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the alternative pricing goes with your alternative morals and your alternative facts. Yes.
I want an alternative Stossel.
Well, we should bring the stream to a close because I'm starving and we've been on for like 3 hours.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't send you a link earlier because I thought we had.
I was really worried about this meeting with an Evergreen professor, but it turned out pretty good.
Did you? I'm assuming you DM'd Sitch or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Through
What did you call
Twitter.
me? What did you call me?
Snitch.
Call me Snitch.
Did he really?
What?
I try not.
You
to
called
say
me
that.
Snitch just now. You don't even realize it.
I called you Snitch. I didn't call you Snitch.
Yeah. You sure did.
I apologize, Ben. Are you Canadian or are you American?
Am I Canadian?
Yeah. I don't.
Wow. Did I come
I know
off
you
that
went.
polite?
We should mention that Evergreen. You went to Evergreen, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to Evergreen State
Okay.
College in Washington.
The
in
one
Olympia.
that imploded.
Yeah, it's very slowly imploding.
The famous Evergreen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty famous. I'm reading Hate's book, but he hasn't mentioned it yet.
Hate?
But we're almost there.
Hate?
Height?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just because everyone's throwing out the name thing. I figured I would I'd get some of that action. But
you knew that, right, Ben? That friend had called what did you say, Jungian psychology?
Yeah, I say Jung from time to time.
That's a good one.
I'm reading Height's book now as well too. Yeah.
I'm about halfway through. I'm waiting for him to mention Evergreen, but I don't think he's going to do it.
No, he does. He
does.
Yeah, Evergreen is very spotlighted in that book.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Wait, who was the teacher you're meeting? Can you tell us?
I did a not a hit piece on a professor that went after Weinstein, and
a not hit piece.
I did a not hit piece.
An alternative hit piece.
I did a video that was pretty critical of her criticism of Brett Weinstein, and it turned out that we had actually met before, and she was kind of not disturbed or worried, but she's like, why don't you just reach out to me and have a conversation before you published me to all those people? So we had a long conversation about things. So it turned out pretty good. She's an excellent teacher. So I kind of went after her in public, but she still is like probably one of the best Evergreen teachers and stuff. So it turned out to be good.
That's good that you turn it around. We've gone after people and we get accused of not the same thing that the instructor said, why didn't you talk to me? Why didn't we have a conversation beforehand? But usually when you ask people beforehand, they're like, yeah, no, I get lost.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm in a particular situation with Evergreen because I'm like the one that keeps on reporting on it. So I have a little bit more heft than any other story that I'll ever come across. So
have they contacted you and asked to buy your YouTube channel or anything?
Purchase it? Oh, you know what? I was thinking that. I'm like, how much cred would I lose if they just offered me a $80,000 a year position as the Evergreen marketing chief?
You would gain a lot of cred with me, the entrepreneur, of course. I thought that your YouTube channel was an investment. To be honest,
it's alternative credibility.
Yeah, it's information gouging. That's what we participate in.
When Evergreen comes calling, you better be price gouging, buddy.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't think that. No, it's a state school, so everything's open to public records requests. So they haven't really contacted me.
According to your reporting, though, I think you're the one that I heard the enrollment is going down.
Oh yeah, you brought that up. It's going to be down probably between 20 and 25% from last year, which is way below what they need. So it's the last thing I heard, and nothing's going to be solid on this and for another month or so. But we're under 3,000, and they are expected to have, they're expected by the state to have 4,200, but they've been averaging about 37 or 3,500. But now it's going to be probably around 28 to 2,900. It's pretty devastating for them.
Now, are you close enough that you could go do like a man on the street interviews in a MAGA hat?
In a MAGA hat? There's a Make Evergreen Great Again hat that I haven't purchased yet.
Is it green or is
it red? Yeah, it's green. What the fuck are you talking about? Of course it's green.
Does it look exactly like the? Oh well, it's got to be a red MAGA hat. Otherwise, it won't.
No. Yeah. People would get it. One guy on campus sells them, but there's not a lot of buyers there because there's not a lot of high irony quotient on the Green campus. But
shocking.
Is it still? I mean, I wonder if social justice warriors will just flock to that school, and there's just not enough of them.
Well, the thing is that, and you got to go. We could probably talk about this in the future and stuff. There is I don't bring this up enough. There's a lot of people there who are really earnest and really hard workers and really work for the betterment of academic integrity through this college. It just so happens that through a crazy series of events, the social justice ideologues, they got control of the situation, and then they found a president who is very weak and is very easy to manipulate. And so they set the stage for what happened in 2017. So the college itself is the really sad part of the story is all the bystanders who didn't participate in the protests. The people who wanted to get the degrees, the people who want to have a job, the people who want to teach students, they're the ones who are being really affected, while the protesters themselves are somehow protected and adulated, and then the administration themselves is still to this day completely clueless about the mistakes that they've made. They're shocked that people are still complaining about Evergreen, and they really want people to stop thinking of it as this, social justice catastrophe. But that's kind of what it is. So,
so you're saying that there was a good school and a good system that was brought down by a low serotonin, low beta male lobster who couldn't climb the dominance hierarchy, and he accidentally destroyed everything that was good about Evergreen.
Well, you got Trump, you got the Trump effect, and then you have a bunch of ideologues teaching students how to act without thinking.
Right.
And then you have George Bridges, who didn't push back against it. It has no authority, doesn't have the chops to navigate either the students or the public backlash.
Because he's not an alpha male. He
George,
needs to take charge.
He needs a paddle is what he needs. A good
paddle.
paddle.
Is there a male between alpha and beta? Why isn't there like a alpha beta male? Like that? Isn't that like the sweet spot? Isn't there a sweet spot there?
You need to be able to turn the alpha on when you need it and turn the beta on when you
Totally.
need it.
That's what Jordan Peterson says. He's like, I want to be feared. He's like, you need to be a monster at times.
That's one of the things that Scott Adams says that I like, where he says that ego should be a tool that you can turn on and off.
Oh, true. Very true. Yeah. All right. Well, this looks like a good place to end it. Thanks for coming on, Ben. You can stay on for a second and we'll say a quick goodbye.
Okay.
You got any final last word? Do you want to say price gouging one more time or anything?
No. I want to sub gouge. So if
yeah, go ahead. I'll put.
Put me in the subbing place.
Benjamin Boyce is his name. I think Benjamin A. Boyce is your channel.
Yeah.
You don't put your social security number after that?
I don't say my whole middle name though. At least there's that much privacy.
Oh, there you go. Sitch, you want to say price gouging one more time?
Alternative. I like this new alternative facts approach.
Thanks for
anything terrible.
Thanks for the super
We'll just
chats.
call it alternative.
Thanks for the super chats, guys, and we'll do more artwork next week.
I'll put it on my video. You don't have to worry about your terrible stream.
No. We'll watch the video on the stream. It'll be great.
Yeah, definitely.